Let's see. We are live. But for some reason, you guys cannot see me. Let's see. Not sure what's going on. Here we go. All right. We're live. Sorry about that. Am I coming through loud and clear? Let's see. Let me know if I'm coming through loud and clear. Hello, everybody. We've got a lot of people here already. The chat is very, very lively. Thank you all for tuning in. All right, yes, I'm coming through loud and clear. Awesome. All right. How is everybody? Thank you all for joining me on this very special occasion. A couple of things I wanted to address before we get started here. If you don't have access to a copy of Urban Legend, there's a Vimeo link in the description, so you can watch along with us. We'll do a countdown before we get started, so we're all perfectly in sync, or as in sync as possible. We're also going to be doing a Q&A directly following the watch along. So if you have any questions for the cast or crew of Urban Legend, please save those for them or send them via Super Chat. YouTube keeps a log of all Super Chats, so it'll be easier for me to keep track of them. I'm going to make the invite link available during the Q&A. So if you want to jump on and ask a question face to face, I'll make that link available first for my patrons and my channel members, and then later for everybody else. But without further ado, let's start introducing some folks here. First, the director of Urban Legend, Mr. Jamie Blanks. Hey, Jamie, how's it going?
Hey, Justin. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Thanks for being back on the channel.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be back. I always have a good time when I'm here, and I was having such a lovely time chatting to the gang just behind the scenes. So I can't wait to get started, man. It's going to be so much fun.
I know. It's going to be awesome. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So, but thank you for making it happen, man. You're the one who really spearheaded this whole thing and made it happen. So thank you.
I was just glad we were able to get everyone's schedules to line up at least on one day. You know, we missed a couple of people because it was just impossible to get everyone at the same time, but we got a really great gang together today, and it's going to be really good fun.
Absolutely. Also joining us tonight, one of the stars of Urban Legend, Ms. Tara Reid. It's connecting. It's a little slow.
It's all right. We know she's there.
We know she's there, though.
She's on her phone, so it might be a little take a while to connect.
Well, while we're waiting for her to connect, let's bring in another star of Urban Legend. Oh, that's not Tara. There's Tara. Hey, Tara.
There you go.
Hey, how's it going?
You see me now?
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, the Zoom link dropped. I was trying to get back on it and it wouldn't let me.
Okay. You're back. We can see you.
I'm back.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Tara.
Thank you, love.
Yeah.
This is my dog, Beso. Say hi, Beso.
Hey.
Hello, Beso.
And this is Bella. Say hi, Bella.
Hello, Bella. That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Tara. It's a real pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Also with us, another star of Urban Legend, Mr. Michael Rosenbaum. How's it going, Michael?
Thank you for the claps, Jamie. It's so weird on Zoom. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here. It's been a long time. I get to see some old friends, and one of the best experiences I've ever had on a movie, Urban Legend, 1998. And I'm looking through some old photos that one of our producers gave us, and very nostalgic. It's been a long time. I feel a little old, but feeling all right.
Well, Michael, you were one of the big reasons that movie was so much fun, man. You kept that set very, very light, my friend, and I just loved every minute we were working together. You were one of the, I think, only 2 or 3 people in my entire career that I cast at the audition. Like it was done.
Yeah.
You walked in that room and out of that room, and it was like, that's the guy, and that's only happened very rarely to me. And man, I have never regretted that decision for one single moment.
Well, you believed in me and you fought for me. I know that, and I never forgot it. So I really appreciate it. And it was one of the best experiences. And it was, I'm glad you cast in the audition, because most people are just, they get offers. A lot of the actors, get offers these days. And back then I was absolutely no one. And you fought for me, and a few of the others fought for me. And it was a great experience. So thanks, man.
It was the right thing to do. We made a great, like we did with Tara. We made a brilliant decision on some people who'd just done one movie or so, on their way up. And look what you guys have done. And it's just, I'm so proud of both of you, and I just love you both so much. And it's so great to be with you guys again. So nice.
It is great. We got a rendezvous.
I think it's great to see all of us together again, because really it was the start of pretty much all of our careers, as one producers, from director, from actors. And I think that is such a part of what made this movie so special, is that we really kind of all got famous at the same time and grew up together, and you never really forget who started you off, in your career. And that's something I really appreciate about everyone I worked with on this film. It made it super special.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are family. You were brilliant. You were brilliant.
It's like the Pendleton University class reunion here tonight.
It really is. It really is.
Also with me tonight is the producer of Urban Legend, or one of the producers of Urban Legend, Ms. Gina Matthews.
Hi, Gina.
Gina!
I don't know what happened. I got booted.
Oh, I just put you in the waiting room. I'm sorry. You're in the waiting room. You were in the waiting room.
I'm in the waiting room. Awesome.
But now you're live. Now you're live though.
Oh,
yeah, press your video. Your video is paused.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
There you are.
Mwah. So beautiful, Gina.
I miss you all terribly.
You guys don't look like you've aged a day since I worked with you back in '98. I mean, you look amazing, all of you. Wow.
Thank you.
Oh.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I mean, it is Mother's Day, so you scheduled this on Mother's Day. So thank God, I'm over my kids, so it's perfect.
But thank you for joining us, Gina. It's great. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
Let's bring on the development executive, or the former development executive at Phoenix Pictures, Mr. Nick Osborne. Hey, Nick.
Nick.
Yes.
How's it going, Nick?
Why am I the last?
You're not the last.
No, you're not the last.
You'll always be last in my book, Nick.
I was. I couldn't even come to set because my British passport wouldn't let me travel there. I couldn't come back into the country at the time.
That's what you think.
There were other problems, right?
Here, no way. We're having way too much fun. We don't want anybody from the studio to come. No way.
I was coming with the extra B12 shots for Jamie, but I got caught at the border, right?
Those weren't B12 though. Those weren't B12.
They were B12, Justin.
Whatever you want to call them, But thanks for joining us tonight, Nick.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Let's bring on a very special guest. Let's just bring him in. Robert Redford is here with us tonight. What a surprise. Thank you so much, Mr. Redford, for joining us tonight. It's a real honor and a pleasure to have you here. I understand this Urban Legend is one of your favorite films.
Hilarious.
Hey.
No, it's Michael McDonald, other producer on the film. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. Super stoked to be here with all of you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Michael, do you remember I used to sing Michael McDonald to you all the time? Yeah. He was the best producer ever. Anyway, I'm glad you remember that.
It was unforgettable, Michael.
He blocked out that memory long ago. Also joining us tonight, we have the director of photography, Mr. James Chrysanthus.
Yes.
Hey, James.
Yay,
Hey there.
How you
Hey,
doing,
Tara.
How are you, love?
Oh, Jim, it's so good to see you, mate.
Oh,
How are you doing?
Jamie. Oh, this is amazing.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Company, my friends. Oh, it's just so lovely being with all you guys again. Wow, what a treat.
You know, James, you're a director of photography and you probably are technologically advanced, but for some reason you have the worst signal here.
I don't know why. You guys are all crystal clear. I'm in Malibu, and you'd think they'd have the best cell and Wi-Fi, but they don't.
In Malibu, it's like the worst.
Rich people.
Try to get
That's
a
what
tour
happens.
and never come back.
The rich people sucking up all the bandwidth out there, brother. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. They're playing 8K movies next door.
Also joining us tonight, the former assistant to Jamie Blanks, Edgar Poblis.
Edgar.
Edgar.
Edgar, you look exactly the same.
Yep.
Thanks.
It's crazy.
So happy to be here. Justin, thanks for organizing this. This is fantastic.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Really, all the praise goes out to Jamie. He's the man who made it happen.
Yay.
With that, Edgar, I'm not so sure.
I'm just with Michael on the set, Michael McDonald. Hey, Simone, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you for joining us. And last, but certainly not least, the author of this epic tome, Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of Friday the 13th. I apologize. And it just so happens that we're doing this on the 41st anniversary of the release of Friday the 13th.
Hey.
Wow.
He's also the author of the upcoming Scary Movies book, Mr. Peter Bracke.
Peter. Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Hey, Peter.
How are you, Peter?
Hey, everybody.
Peter's
Thank you, guys.
Peter's joining us live tonight from the North Pole. He's got Aurora Borealis going on behind him.
Hey, Peter. Peter, you were great in Ghost as the bad guy.
Oh man, it's great to see you guys. Thank you guys for having me. I just enjoying the 10th wheel tag along tonight. So you guys look amazing.
No, not at all, man.
Yeah. Always a pleasure to have you on the channel.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys all together. Is this the first time you guys have seen each other in like years? Or
It's been a while since we've all been together. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Quite a long time.
We that's what we do on my channel. We bring people together.
I ran into Tara at Soho House. Michael, you and I ran into each other at Catch, I think. Nick, we meet each other all the time at Soho House. Jamie, it's easy. So yeah.
Do you know
I saw Jamie in Australia when I was down there, and we had lunch. It was awesome. And I saw Nick at Peter Safran's steak night party. We had a little steak together, and that was like last year. So, but really, I haven't gotten to talk.
And you know, the crazy thing is that Gina and I spent the evening of 9/11 together. Do you remember that, Gina?
Oh my God. Oh.
That was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Bring that up.
Okay,
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring the conversation.
that
was
just
like, way to
brought it
bring
to a
that
halt.
one
Yeah.
up.
Where's my Jose Cuervo? Jeez. But the chat's going crazy. Everybody's super happy to see everybody together. It's the Pendleton University reunion here. We've got Team Parker in the house. We've got Team Tara in the house. We've got people who are confessing their love for Peter Bracke in the chat. I don't know what's going on.
I don't think so.
It's handsome.
That's me on my second account. I'm sorry.
You never told me, Piz. Oh my God.
No idea. Secret admirer, Peter. Secret admirer. But yeah, this is really awesome. It's incredible to have you all. I was just rewatching the making of on the Scream Factory Blu-ray yesterday, and now it's like, now they're all here on my channel.
Here you go, man.
So that's amazing. So cool.
That was a great release.
Yeah.
You guys, look what I have here. This was from the premiere.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh my God. June 25th, Mix with cola at your own risk. Urban legend, what you don't believe can kill you.
That's how I died. Why didn't I die? I died with Pop Rocks and Drano or something.
And it says on the back, it happened to someone who knows someone you know. You're next. Urban.
Nice.
Yeah, so I need your addresses and I'll mail them to you.
You're all gonna die again.
Oh, how dare you.
Why didn't I buy Pop Rocks for this? I should have had Pop Rocks. For
I
this.
know.
I'm in the mood for some.
I know, right?
Yeah.
These are, just so you know, these are so hard. I mean, guys.
Yeah.
Those would kill you. They will kill you now.
Will literally kill me.
You don't need any Pepsi. You just put those in your mouth and.
Oh, this one's a little bit softer. Yeah, maybe I'll try them out on my 12-year-old and see what she thinks.
She'd love that.
Let me give some shout outs here because the chat's really going wild here.
Where is this chat?
Yeah,
if you go to you all should you should have the link.
Yeah, how do we see what's going on outside of us?
I can't see anything.
There are windows in your home.
Like if we split screen, like if we do another window, what do we go on?
So
let me.
I just opened a browser and go into YouTube and pizowell's channel, and I can see it. Just make sure you mute it.
But I can't do that on my phone, right? Because I'm on a cell phone.
Yeah, probably not.
I go to YouTube and type in Urban Legend viewing.
That should work, yeah. Or just type in my channel name, pizowell.
Yeah, pizowell, and it's the first thing that comes up. I see it. I click on it.
Wait, what? What? P what?
pizowell.
Correct.
Yeah.
I can send you the actual link, Gina. Just give me 1 sec. I'll just send it to you.
Okay, no, I got it. Jamie, I'm very savvy. I'm very savvy. I found it. Keep it muted. Hang on, stand by.
Book of Stubborn.
Okay, muted.
So we've got over 100 people watching with us so far. The chat's running wild. Hello, Joshua. Hello, Amy. Hello, Sasha. Hey, Jamie. Marbsy. Olivia. My buddy Stone. My buddy Nico is out there. Susan, hello. There's Joey. The Daily Ghost. Camp Crystal Cabin 6. How's everybody doing tonight? Man, it's
look, there it goes. Great.
Let me give a couple of shout outs here. Leslie James, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Nico, thank you for the $5 super chat earlier. Appreciate that. So what we're going to do is we all have our copy of the film queued up at the very beginning. Again, that link is in the description. If you want to watch along with us and you don't have access to a copy of the film, we'll give you a minute or two, and then we'll get that set up, and then we'll get the ball rolling. One thing I would like to request, and I was talking to Jamie about this. It was filmed for the Blu-ray, but it had to be excised. And that was Michael's rendition of the Jaws trailer.
Oh,
that's right.
Can we get the Jaws trailer really quick before we start, Michael?
The Jaws trailer?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Creature has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without fear, without logic. It is as though God created the devil and gave him Jaws. See it.
Bravo!
Finally.
What Scream Factory said no to, this channel says yes to.
Yeah.
I don't leave the house.
I worked so hard to get that into the documentary. I even had to produce 2 masters, one with and one without that line, all the way up to the very end to try and get Sony Legal to change their mind, but I just couldn't do it, Michael.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I gave it my best shot, my friend.
Hey, much obliged.
I'm glad people got to hear it.
Yes, very nice, Michael. Thank you very much.
I'm looking for this link here.
My buddy Andrew.
Right at the bottom. I have it up. Oh my God, so funny. Oh, that opening's so funny.
Thank you, Andrew, for the $4.99.
It's a horror movie, Gina. It's not supposed to be funny.
It is funny, though. I think it's kind of special, sort of funny and scary.
It's the best. I mean, come on.
Thank you, Daily Ghost. Let me just remind everybody that we will do the Q&A after the watch along. So if you have any questions, hold those until the end or send those through Super Chat so I can keep track of them. But are we about ready to start the
Sure.
Yeah.
mayhem?
Let's do it, man.
Go for it.
You count it down.
Is everybody queued up?
Yep.
I'm queued up with you guys, but not with anything else because I'm on my phone. But I'll just go along with whatever you guys need to ask me so I could know what's going on.
We'll
Okay, perfect.
wait for
Thanks,
Michael
Gina.
to get back.
Okay.
What are you guys looking at right now?
The very, very beginning of the film, 0.00. Is that where everybody's
Zero,
at?
zero, zero, zero.
Yeah, you count it down, Justin.
Perfect. All right, let's count it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
And we're going. Okay.
Should we mute ourselves, Justin? Or
Mute,
or mute the movie?
mute the
Mute the
movie or
movie.
turn the volume
Okay, got
way
it.
down.
I don't have the movie. I guess I was just.
You can flick
Oh,
the
it's okay,
subtitles
Michael.
on too.
Don't worry. It's not going to be scene specific necessarily
So
anyway.
should we
okay.
mute ourselves as well then?
No, just
No?
have the mute.
Is
movie.
everyone else on the Phoenix logo right now?
Phoenix
Yes,
logos,
yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
Michael, if
Phoenix.
you were on YouTube, it's the link right at the very bottom. Like it's like right under the
Aaron,
window
watch
of
this.
Justin's chat.
It's in the description.
Watch along with us.
Yeah.
That
That's it.
Exactly. So if you click
Yeah.
that,
Oh, there's Gina.
I'll tell you exactly where we are. We are at 51, 52 seconds, 53 seconds, 54. So just catch up with us.
okay. I'm pretty much there.
59, 1 minute. We're 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I got to figure out how to turn off the sound.
You have to see the Vimeo. You see where those lines are? Just click it till it's
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
All right.
I'm very savvy.
You're
Thank
very
you, Gina.
smart, Gina.
Always very savvy, Gina.
Gina, I'm just gonna leave. Gina, take over. We'll see you guys.
You're the savviest, most beautiful producer I've ever worked with.
Well, Michael McDonald, I mean.
He's the sexiest. Let's take it up.
No.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Hey, so Gina and Nick, I'd love to hear a little bit from you guys the process of how the script was written and how it was brought into Phoenix Pictures. Can you talk a little bit about how that all happened?
Yeah. So I was working with Silvio at the time. I think we just kind of give a little shout out to Silvio. I'm really gonna try not to cry that he's not here with us because he should be.
Yeah.
And Silvio had written one movie that, this funny little script that didn't sell. And so we were trying to come up with what was next. So we were just sitting around coming up with ideas. And he said, I have this funny idea for a horror movie, but it has some comedy in it too. Students are being murdered on a college campus based on urban legends. I was like, oh my, okay, done. That's the greatest idea ever. And Silvio was like, I think he had to be dropped off at my house because he's so young. And let me be clear, at the time, he was a perfume spritzer at Nordstrom's. And so we would be developing the pitch, but he'd have to leave, I'd have to drop him off at Nordstrom so he could sample perfume. That is how, it was the beginning of his career. So we developed the movie, we got it all ready to go. And then we started pitching places, and Neil Moritz and Brad, who I thought Brad was going to join us tonight. They had just did I Know You Did Last Summer. And so I was also starting out too. Urban Legend was my first movie. And so we pitched it to Neil and to Brad, and they were like, oh, we love it. Let's do it together. And then we went in and pitched it to Phoenix. So you can take it from there, Nick.
Yeah, and I had a relationship with Brad through Neil because I had literally just graduated from USC and I was a creative executive at Phoenix, and Neil was my mentor. And I had a lunch with him, and he couldn't have been less interested in me. But he said, "Go and talk to Brad." And so I started talking to Brad, and then Brad suddenly said, "We have this pitch." And I, it's interesting. Phoenix had been doing a lot of art house stuff up to that point, or stuff which really was quite good, but hadn't really made any money. And so it was the perfect time to try and persuade Mike Medavoy to buy something which may be a little bit more
commercial,
you could say. Sorry, I'm going to turn my volume down. And Mike went for it to be fair, and he said, let's go for it. And it was interesting because Gina said Silvio had one script, but he really had like a third of a script. The first third of that, his sample worked, and the rest of it wasn't particularly great. But he had a voice, and I think that was what was so great about Silvio. And Gina, to be fair, is an incredibly good developer of material. And she and Brad, and the rest of us, we helped craft that script. And I think the crazy thing about it, and I really am jumping ahead, but we bought that script in August, I think, or something, and we released the movie the next September. So we went from pitch to release in a year, and I was like
September
22 or
25th,
and I was 22 at the time, and I was like, holy shit, Hollywood is amazing. This is how Hollywood works. It's a bit like going to Vegas. When you go to Vegas and the first time you play craps, you win $1,000 and you're like, holy shit, it's so easy to win. And then you never win again. And so, so that's how it came in. And then, we got a great first draft. And I think from the first draft, Mike basically said, let's go for it. And I think it did genuinely help that Neil had done I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think he really had credibility in that space. And I think it made, the budget was what? I think the budget was 13 at the end of the day.
It was 13 million.
So, and so that was really the story of how it came in, right?
Well, it's a shame that Neil's career really, pummeled after that.
I mean, those Fast and Furious movies. What are you talking about?
Good Lord.
Well, Nick, I have a memory of having a meeting with you at Phoenix, and it was the very first time I'd ever heard anything about the project. And then it wasn't until like months and months later I got a call from Brad Luff, and he mentioned that you guys were doing this, and it reminded me of that pitch that you gave me about the scripts. And do you remember that first meeting that you and I had at Phoenix? I remember coming in there and showing you my trailer and my student film.
Yeah, I remember that. But what the meeting I really remember actually is the meeting when we brought you in to pitch Mike Medavoy.
Was spinning like a.
And Jamie was. We had to find him a fresh shirt. He had sweated.
That was the culmination. I knew at that moment. That was the culmination of all the work, all the film school, all the stuff that I ever wanted to do. That was the closest I was ever going to get to doing a movie. And I made that trailer. I'd spent all my money, all my spare cash on a trailer. I thought, this is it. This is one of those rare times in life when it's make or break. So I was terrified. I literally was terrified.
And we brought you in. There was one other director we brought you in with, but we really wanted you. We loved your short, and Jamie got through that meeting somehow with Mike. Mike can be so intimidating. This is the guy who made some of the great, some of the greatest movies in history.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It goes on. Apocalypse Now. It goes on and on.
And then Urban Legend, of course.
Of course it is.
Academy Award winning.
Nick, I went back to my car after that meeting when Mike hired me, and I just sobbed. I sobbed tears of joy.
By the way, Natasha's about to get her head chopped off.
Yes, I love it. Oh, I mean, also the fact that the song she's listening to is "Turn Around, Bright Eyes."
Best song ever.
Only she taking those lyrics seriously, huh?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the first thing you shot? Wasn't that the first thing you shot, Jamie?
No, it wasn't the first thing. It was early though. Michael McDonald and I, we kind of knew that we had to shoot this sequence up early in the schedule because we wanted to give the studio some comfort that they hadn't made a terrible mistake by hiring me, and we wanted to show them middle and an end the sequence.
Tara.
It's Tara.
Yeah. College radio show host.
Jamie, if you should tell the story about the trailer that you put together, though. That's worth telling.
Oh, I think probably a lot of people have heard that story already. But quickly, I was given the script for Wes Craven's Scream, and they liked me because of my student film for that. But obviously, as soon as Wes Craven got involved, I was out of the picture. So I thought the next script I get, I'm going to try and go for it. So they sent me the script for Kevin Williamson's I Know What You Did last summer, and I thought the only way I'm going to get anyone's attention is if I can show the producer of this movie how I would shoot it, because there's no other way to convince somebody to hire a first-time filmmaker than to give them some comfort and to give them some sort of evidence that you can do it. So I went out and shot a trailer for that film over a couple of weekends with some actors. I just highlighted bits of the script. I had about 10 minutes of film stock, and I just thought I could only afford to expose and process 10 minutes of film. So I was very careful about what I shot, and that became a kind of little proto fake trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer, which Neil Moritz loved. And he said to me, it was really ballsy of you to do that. I've never seen anyone or even heard about anyone doing that before. And he said, for that reason, I'm going to give you a movie. I said, are you serious? It worked. It was the best. It was the best use of $4,000 I'd ever spent at that time. And $4,000 to me at that time in my life was a lot of money. I made about $336 a week after tax. I had to live on that as well. So $4,000, I was putting myself into considerable debt at the time to make that trailer, which, I'm really glad I did, obviously, because it all worked out really well. But it was a bit of a long shot, I've been told all my life, make sure you have a backup plan, because this filmmaking thing that you want to do, most likely not going to work out from Melbourne, Australia. Mostly it doesn't.
It's so funny, Jamie. I didn't even know that part of the story about I Know What You Did Last Summer, because I remember it was like the final editions for I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was for Neil. And so I went for the final things. I did everything with, we did the screenshots with everyone, and then didn't get the part. Sarah Michelle Gellar did, and but that was it with that. But then I went working with Neil on this one, but I never knew that you actually did the progress to that. So we were already in his head before we even met each other, before it even happened. And I really think about it. That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, we met through Nick Osborne, actually. I remember meeting you for the first time through Nick, and you were probably one of the only members of the cast that I'd actually become sort of friends with before we made the movie. We were
totally good friends.
Yeah, we were
my family, my parents,
and just hanging out with Nick and Jeffrey and those guys, and it was really nice that we actually got to finally work on a movie, because the whole thing was up in the air at that point. I wasn't sure that I had the job until sort of that meeting happened, and I was kind of convinced all the way through the whole process that they were going to figure out that they just hired some kid who liked movies from Australia.
And I remember, because I was one of the first ones. I was one of the first ones you met, right, when we were in the office.
That's right.
You know what, Tara? You don't remember that. I don't know if you remember this, but I auditioned for the opening scene that I'm in, the one where I go and he took the knife and he just that was my audition. But 2 weeks pass. 2 weeks is a long time. Enough. My mother must have called 50 times. Did you hear anything? I'm like, no, I probably didn't get it. People are like, my friends are like, anything? I mean, so now I don't tell anybody. After that, I never tell anybody about any audition, anything.
Yeah.
So I'm at a bar one night, and this beautiful little rock and roller Tara Reid comes up to me, and she goes, "Are you Michael Rosenbaum?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "You're going to be an urban legend with me." And I go, "What?" "Oh, I auditioned for that like weeks ago." She goes, "Yeah, but you're the guy." I'm like, "Are you?" She goes, "I know you're the dude. You're the guy." I'm like, she's the one who sort of told me that I got the part. And I was kind of, really? Like,
I totally remember that.
You remember that?
I found the guy who's going to play Parker. He just auditioned today. Like, he's cast in the movie.
Yeah, Jamie told me, and then I had to run him that night. Totally. And then Michael, like, out of everyone in the cast, he was the one that, we don't talk every day because it's not like you have to, but he's the one I definitely say had the closest relationship, because he got close to my brother and my family, and he came and stayed with us in the summer times. Yeah. And we've always had just a great time with Michael. He's the best.
Absolutely. Those Jersey Shore days were
they're amazing, right? I love that.
Well, speaking of the casting, I mean, was there a method to the madness, or was it all just like, everybody's like tonight, everybody's schedules were free and it was just, it was good timing when it came to casting everybody?
Oh no, there was definitely method to the madness. I mean, I remember sitting there through many auditions with Michael and John Papsadera and Gina, and looking at all these people, and
Julian.
you know, we were blown away with some of the people that came in and read for the role. I mean, there was some incredible people that I've been fans of for years to play some of the older roles, actors that I've known for. I was a little bit uncomfortable that I'm actually sitting in judgment of some of these actors. I'm like, who the hell am I to? I'm not going to mention any names, but it was just like, they could have easily been in the movie. Yeah, there was plenty of people who could have easily been in the film, but I think, managed to find just a really good balance. Like the chemistry with that cast is really good, and I think that's one of the keys to casting any movie. You might find an actor in isolation is really right for a role, but as part of an ensemble, they might not necessarily be the right choice. I think we've found a really good ensemble for that film, and you know, I'm really proud of the cast all these years later too, and to see them all go on to do such great things later on.
Pretty amazing.
It's so gratifying.
Jamie, you know, you bring something up which I think is really important, because it was also my first movie as well, and it was in casting. You had to be able to find people that were actors that were believable, could also play, you know, could be in a horror movie, but also were hilarious and funny, and that's not easy. Like, it's actually really hard to do, to balance the tone so it never becomes like a satire or silly, but it still is grounded, but it's just fun. And we were so blessed with this cast, and then everybody just really bonded. You know, right. we would hang out together outside of set. Like we just had this incredible, so that is reflected on the screen. And I think it's also because it was a first for many of us. Like, it was just kind of this thing that launched so many of our lives that we were passionate about it. This little $13 million movie that honestly, everybody just left us alone. I mean, I do think that Mike was busy making his like fancy movies, that we just were left alone in Toronto. Like, I was like, do they know that we're just like up here, just like having a great, what's happening?
Yeah.
But, you know, after doing like so many movies after that, I realized how much they really left us alone. Like, now you do other movies and the studios are right there. And this one, we just got to like do whatever you want. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, it was a real challenge, I think, Gina, finding actors who could be, because two of the hardest genres to blend together are the comedy and the horror genre. Many people try and fail. You know, it's really hard to get those things right. And Wes Craven did it so beautifully with Scream. And I knew there's a pretty high bar that he'd set for us to jump over. And particularly Michael and Tara and Rebecca and Josh had to be funny in the movie. It was kind of required of the parts. It was the way Sylvia had written those parts. Alicia, not so much. It was more the straight girl in the story. But to find all these actors who could do these different kinds of comedy too, because Rebecca's comedy was very different to what Michael and Tara were doing in the movie. Hers was a completely different kind of dark take on that whole thing. At the end, that whole monologue had to be so delivered with precision, because it could have been really easy to go over the top with that and to make it not work. And Rebecca really nailed that stuff really well. So that was, I think, the success in the casting, is we found actors who were able to nail the level of comedy that was required of those roles. And I think that's
Loretta was funny. Loretta was funny.
Loretta as well.
Genius, dude. She was a genius.
I cast her. She was so good. I cast her in What Women Want. I was like, yes, son, you're in it. You're so good. She's so good. So
even
good.
John Neville, who was like the straight guy, was like, it's the weekend.
The weekend.
Throughout the movie. It was
the farm animals line and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he pulled that off perfectly as well. So no, look, that I think that is one of the reasons the film has kind of endured and remained popular, is because the casting is so successful and clever and delivers on what Silvio's script required of all those roles. And you know, not everyone can pull that stuff off. Not every actor can do those things. And I'm really grateful that we have the amazing cast that we have. And just going up to Toronto, I remember we should talk a little bit about Michael and McDonald and I, the process of hiring the crew, because we brought on originally Charles Breen as our production designer. who was extraordinary. He designed the sets for Blade Runner. He designed the supermarket in the Blues Brothers that was destroyed with the big car shots. He'd done some amazing things. And we brought on Jim Rosanthus, who I'd not heard of before, and I discovered through a show reel, and was seriously one of the smartest decisions, smartest hires that I've ever made in my life. Because Jim, I don't know that I would have been able to even approach this movie, let alone get through it successfully, without someone with your skill set and your ability to work fast, but also deliver incredible, high quality, beautiful imagery. So, Michael, we should talk a little bit about the process of crewing the movie as well as casting it.
Well, but before that, I want to talk about, just for a second, the process of getting you to Toronto in the first place.
You know how I didn't have any warm weather gear. Right?
We're in Los Angeles.
I saw you in the background.
He's wearing sneakers and he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm going, where's your bags? Where's your warm clothes? He goes, this is all I've got, a little carry-on. We landed in Toronto and it was
snowing.
No stories. And he was freezing, so ill-prepared. You had never seen snow before or something like that.
Not really. And I'd only been hired to do this movie, like, on a snap like that. I was like, I wasn't planning on staying for any period of time. I just got to LA and they're like, you're directing this movie. So I certainly wasn't prepared to go to Toronto at that point.
So we detoured and went to REI, got you fitted out and with some warm gear right away.
Yeah,
but putting the crew together was great. We were really fastidious about it. We had list after list after list for every position, interviewed a lot of people, looked at a lot of tape, and ended up with an extraordinary crew for this film.
We did. And I poached your assistant off you as well at the time. Yeah. My buddy Edgar. Edgar, tell us a little bit about you, because you'd worked with Michael in the past. Tell us a little bit about that whole story.
Well, Michael and I had worked together on a movie called The Replacement Killers. And I don't know why, he had, I was on the set with the ADs. He was, doing his producing stuff. So the interaction that I had with him wasn't merited him calling me out of thin air and saying, hey, I'm starting this movie. I want to hire you. And I'm only hiring you for 2 weeks because you're going to help me prep the office at Phoenix before we go off to Toronto. So if you're available for 2 weeks, you got the job. I was like, great, I'll do it. I was desperate for a job.
Right.
And I liked Michael. So we started working together and it was great. It was just he and I in this room doing these interviews. And it was so much fun. I learned so much from Michael. He was a great guy, great producer. And then you come along and you're this amazing film geek who knows so much about film scores. That's the one thing how you and I bonded over film scores.
That's right.
And we started talking about that. And, so it was the three of us in the room. And then we slowly started making these phone calls and getting people coming into the room. And then after a couple more weeks, we got along so great that you asked Michael if I could be your assistant and take me along to Toronto, which was the best. And I was so happy to do that. It was really the first movie I've been out of Los Angeles. So this was only my third movie I think I was working on.
Well, you became, to me, Edgar, a really good friend, but also like there was something about, we were both kind of at the same point in our lives where we're being sort of thrown in on something. And Michael had done films and Gina, all these guys. I kind of felt like I love those guys, but I didn't feel at that point in time, at least, I didn't feel like there was kind of a frame of reference. I kind of felt more aligned with sort of where you and I were at, and I kind of wanted you on the journey with me a little bit because I thought, no, Edgar understands how freaked out I am about that. I can't tell Michael how freaked out and Nick how freaked out I am, but Edgar kind of understands.
It was a lot of fun, Jamie, and I knew that. I knew that this was your first movie. You were 26 years old, for Christ's sake. As your first movie, and you were freaking out. But the great thing about it, and I mean this sincerely, that I had worked on 2-3 other movies before, so you hadn't been on a set before.
No.
And day one, you showing up, and I just remember day one how excited you were, I remember calling Simone in Australia to letting her
Yeah.
know we were about to yell action for the first time.
I
And
remember feeling like such an idiot, Edgar. I arrived on the set and I said to Michael, "What are all these trucks here for, man?" Your grip truck, you idiot.
And there was that very first setup, and you did say action, and I can't remember exactly what the scene was, but the scene ended, and I was standing next to you, and I had to give you an elbow. You got time to say cut. You have to say cut now.
Yeah, I was learning on the job.
It's funny. I was thinking about what you were saying earlier about how the studio, well, Phoenix, as we weren't too heavy-handed on the project, and I think I think a lot of things came down to that. I think one of the reasons, which you mentioned already, was that you shot the opening first, and we saw the dailies to that and how good they were, and that just gave us huge confidence. And we loved all the producers, and we just knew we had good producers who gave us confidence. And Michael, I would say, especially in the sense that he felt like the adult in the room, but he was also this kind of very laid back, very calm, so when he called us from Toronto and checked in, it was always that kind of, it's fine, it's all going really well, don't worry, Gina and I would be talking about script changes and things like that, but Mike will be just like, it's chill, it's great.
It was deliberate. We had our strategies, and Gina, you were in on this too. Jamie alluded to it before. Let's shoot that opening sequence first. Let's get a lot of confidence going, both from Neil's office back at home and from Mike's office too. And when those dailies came in, I think everybody was happy and relaxed and turned their attention to other movies that had bigger problems, maybe.
And also the actors delivered. I mean, it's true that the performances really popped immediately, and you just felt that the tone was coming through on the dailies. And so I remember I would watch them every day. It was so funny. It's the old days when didn't they have to send tapes from Toronto?
No, the film, the actual film.
It was on film. Yeah,
it was on film.
It was. Oh, we had to watch it on film. That is insane.
I got a call from Christy Prunier one night, Nick, saying that Mike wants to speak to you on the phone. This is early days, and I'm like, oh no. And Christy said, yeah, look, we don't feel like you've been 100% honest with us. And I'm like, oh, God,
oh no.
And she says to me, Jamie, are you sure you've never shot a movie before? Because these rushes look fantastic. And I'm like,
so sweet.
It was so sweet. It's like, did you have to do the whole suspense build up, terrifying thing beforehand? Yeah. But to be fair to Mike Medavoy, Mike watched every day's dailies. He did. Mike would watch the dailies. And so the fact that Mike wasn't concerned was a testament to how well you were doing.
Yeah, that we've spoken about that in years since, as years gone by, and I'm so grateful to Mike. I mean, there's a man who could have hired anybody to direct this movie, but he's prepared. He was prepared to roll the dice on a kid from Australia with little to show for himself, a couple of short films and a trailer, and that's pretty much it. And he was prepared to give me a shot based on your support and Gina's support and Neil's support. Who else is going to do that? Anywhere.
It was the best thing that could have ever happened.
Who's going to give you a shot at that? And the other weird thing is my wife was working at the time with Fred Skepsey, and Fred was about to do a film at Phoenix Pictures with John Cleese and Robin Williams. And it was, you probably remember this, Nick, it was Don Quixote they were talking about doing. And Phoenix pulled the plug on Don Quixote and greenlit Urban Legend instead. So there's my old boss in Australia going, hang on, my film's just been cancelled, but they're going to greenlight my editor's film. So that was kind of strange at the time too.
How big were the butterflies in your stomach the week leading up to the day one?
Oh, well, I was nervous, but I didn't actually. I wasn't consumed by those nerves because I had such great support. I mean, I had Michael and Edgar and Gina and Brad and Neil kind of all behind me. I had James. We'd scouted locations together by that point. I was actually feeling pretty confident going into the shoot. The first night, though, I remember the first night was nerve wracking. But literally after, I must have been 20 minutes after we started shooting, we just got into a groove, and that these nerves went away, and they were replaced by just excitement. I remember going to the lab every morning with Jim and Michael and Jay watching the rushes. And I just couldn't wait to get onto the set after we watched the previous day's shots. I'm like, my God, you know, seeing 35mm stuff lit by a genius DP, you know, it's made everything look fabulous. I mean, you know, it was great. I was so enthused every day. So yeah, the nerves were completely replaced by excitement.
We've had a bunch of people in the chat ask about how Robert Englund and Brad Dourif got involved in the movie, and how was it as a horror fan on your first horror movie directing genre icons like those two?
Jamie, I remember having conversations with you, conversations about, dude, can we get Bruce Campbell? Can we get Brad Dourif? Like, we had those conversations till like late in the evening, just about, because we were horror buffs, right? And I just remember that we were so stoked when Dourif did it. I was like, what? It was
it was amazing because when I read the script, I don't know how it is for everybody else, but when I'm reading a script, I will cast people randomly in my head. I'll just choose someone who's going to be that character when I'm reading it for the first time. And I picked Brad Dourif because I think it's because of Cuckoo's Nest, or he screams those lines in the Child's Play franchise so well. Rosie, he's so good at doing that, like, you know, epic things. And I just imagined Brad in my head for some reason as that gas station guy. So to get the guy that you kind of first imagined to play the role, that was extraordinary. I didn't think we were going to get Brad. I didn't even think he'd even consider it. So they actually, to get you cast him in the movie was amazing. And then to work with Robert Englund, I was saying earlier before we went live to the guys, how beautiful Robert is, and how it was the same thing. Any nerves I had about working with Robert were replaced by just feelings of joy after 2 minutes of having him on set. I mean, the guy, he couldn't have made it any easier on me to work with him. And we had such a good, strong, similar sort of frame of reference, touch points on different movies that we both love. It was wonderful working with him. So it was the same for you, I guess, Michael. When I told you we're going to be working with Robert Englund, he's going to be playing your professor. You know, it was the same reaction. Like,
I remember. I'm telling you. And I just interviewed him on my podcast, and it was awesome. And we talked.
He loves you. He loves you so much.
He was great. But I remember, I'm like, this guy is so nice. He's allowing me to sit there and go, Tina, this is God, over and over, and do Freddy Krueger impersonations. And yet he's like, oh yeah. Just go up like a kid in the candy store.
He was washing up after one of the cast parties that we had over at Jared Leto's house. Remember, he had his kitchen glove on. And I've got a photograph of him doing "This Is God," all that stuff for us. It was wild.
And you know what's funny? Remember when Jared, when we were shooting that, he has a band which everyone knows now called 30 Seconds to Mars. And I remember every time when he was off the set, he rented this big studio in Toronto, like a loft. And that's when we started his band, 30 Seconds to Mars. That was exactly where they started. I used to go there all the time and watch him play. And then how their career went on.
It was Michael's problem to find that location for him. We had to have a house big enough for his band. That was the deal, wasn't it, Michael?
What? I wasn't paying attention.
No, we're talking about Jared. Remember when Jared had the loft and he played, that's where he started 30 Seconds to Mars? Yeah. And he was always there like rocking out with his brother Shannon and everything. And now look at him now. 30 Seconds to Mars is huge.
I know. I'm looking for pictures. I'm just showing. I think people like that are watching would like to see some old pictures that they probably wouldn't see.
That's the day that I got into the Directors Guild of America. Do you remember that? In the car park in our production office.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There was sweet Alicia.
Yeah, nice.
Poor Alicia was always drenched. She I think she
was always wet and the rain was always cold.
Yeah, poor Alicia. You guys were always warm in the coffee shop or the radio station. Always drenched.
God bless him.
Oh, Sylvia.
Oh, Sylvia.
Yeah.
I know, Sylvia.
I gotta have some pictures of Robert Redford in here. There's old Josh with the bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. All your books are a little different. All your books are
they're all got their own thing. Josh had just come off Cruel Intentions, and I remember they were asking me, "Do you want to keep the blonde hair, or do we go back to Josh's usual color?" And I said, "No, he's a snowboarder. Let's stay with the bleached look."
I remember being up there doing the movie, having so much fun, and then I got called back to LA, and I had to get permission from all you guys to leave for like 2 days to audition for American Pie. Remember?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I had to leave. You guys all said, "Okay, you go. You got to come right back." And I was in like Sasha mode. It was completely opposite of Vicky from American Pie.
Yeah.
And I walked in the audition. I thought, "Oh my God, I'm totally not in the right character headspace sometimes." But I did it, and out of nowhere, bam! I didn't find out, so I literally landed, and we were shooting our scene in, obviously back in Urban Legend. We were shooting a scene, and all of a sudden I get a phone call, and I'm like, "Jamie, I cut the part." He's like, "What are you talking about? Like, you have the part already." Like, he didn't even know I was talking about part. He's like, "I'm talking about Urban Legend," and I was like, "No, American Pie." And it was like all of that happened at the same time for me. So it was like such an exciting moment of my life with all of you guys and with that and with everything. It was like everything kind of, for me, kind of happened at once. And it was like all of you guys had such a big impression. And without you guys, I would never have gotten to where I have and had such beautiful people inside and out that I got to work with. And Urban Legend definitely created that space for me.
Well, Tara, I was just thinking, you and Michael had both done one film before Urban Legend, and it wasn't like you were working with small-time directors. Like, you worked with the Coen brothers, and Michael worked with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
So this was kind of your biggest, role, but it was like it wasn't like you hadn't already, and you'd already worked with Larry Cohen, way earlier when you were much younger. So
6.
I'd love to take complete credit for like discovering you, but it was like some serious directors before me had already had you on the radar, and they were.
I remember meeting you, Jamie, and when we had the meeting at Phoenix, and I remember meeting you, and you were just like so cool and so funny, and you have your energy that's kind of like hyper and exciting, and like you're like the little kid in the candy store, and everything like we talked about, like anything with horror or feelings or action. You would just be like, "Yeah, let's do that. Let's do this. Yes. Like,
very enthusiastic.
And he would get me excited about something I was even supposed to be excited about. Like he's had the best energy ever.
Tara, do you remember Michael? It was McDonald. It was Gina Matthews, Rebecca Gayhart, me, you. I think Josh. I'm just gonna say it. We were pretty effed up. We were kids. Who gives a shit? We were drunk off our asses, lying in a bed. We're clothed. Dirty, but we're all just singing Fleetwood Mac songs and like all night and just hanging out, and it was just I remember I go, "This is life, this is Hollywood." It's not Hollywood, but it was a moment in time that I'll never forget.
Wait, now who had that cool loft apart? Was it you, Jamie, that had that killer?
I had that epic message.
God, that was amazing. That was amazing. Do you guys remember when my mom, my Naples, mom came and made dinner for everybody at Jared Leto's house, which nobody had been to? We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe that he was like, "Yeah, you can host it at my house." We were like, "What? Really?" Oh my God.
Yeah, Robert was washing dishes up for us, and that was a great night. I remember
that was a great night. That was a great night, and I have to tell you, every movie I've ever produced, I have carried on that tradition that my mother started on Urban Legend, and I will cook a whole big Italian.
Sorry, guys, I fell out. My Wi-Fi went off. But Michael, what were you saying? You told me a story, but it shut off.
That was I was just saying we were all listening to Fleetwood Mac, really drunk on somebody's bed. It was Michael McDonald, Gina, me, you, Rebecca, and we were just living life and singing Fleetwood Mac songs.
Michael, we weren't listening to Fleetwood Mac. We were singing Fleetwood Mac. We were
singing
Fleetwood
Mac.
And that's right. Remember, that's when Josh was dating Katie Holmes too, and Katie came visiting on the set.
Yep.
And we had all kinds of people that we didn't realize what was going on back then. Now
then I started
crazy history.
Holmes. No, I didn't.
No, you missed that one.
Nah, it didn't happen.
But remember, we'd always go. My room was like the room to go into, and we all had the most fun, and we did the craziest stuff, like in a good way. But we had such a. It was like sleepaway camp. That movie was literally like sleepaway camp.
It was.
It was amazing.
I was like 23 24 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when we did Urban Legend, what year? 98. So
Yeah,
subtract
98.
23 years. We were all, everybody was young.
We all were. We're all the same age.
Oh, yes. All of us. It's crazy.
I wasn't so young.
Michael,
Michael.
You're always young, Redford.
yeah, Redford, you're always in our books.
I remember my brothers came to set, and you guys would all go out partying all night. And sometimes I'd wake up at like 7 in the morning, and you guys could be just coming in from some massive party. I'm like, I've got to work today.
It was up to me. If there's a party in Toronto, I found it, and I'd bring the whole cast with me. They're like, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea."
Yeah.
But Michael, you can speak to this too. I mean, we were on budget, on schedule. Like it was I mean, I think that's also probably one of the reasons why Nick talks about like there were no big there was no big crisis. We weren't over budget. We weren't running over schedule. Jamie, you weren't shooting 16-hour days. I mean, the hardest thing I found was how many nights we had to shoot. What was it? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Michael, how many nights? I mean, I had never shot a movie and I was like, what's happening? I feel like a vampire. Like, what?
We turned into one at the end. It was like,
having a lot of fun. But Michael and Jim and I were very responsible, and I was very cognizant of the fact that I don't want to get fired off my first, this amazing opportunity. So I remember working with Michael and Jim really closely to make sure we finished every day and we made our days and we weren't behind. And that I think was what enabled it to have a bit of a party vibe because we were actually staying on schedule.
But I think that's also like Jamie, like innocence is bliss. Like when you really think about you, Gina, Sylvia, like our whole cast, like Michael, like everyone that was around us, like everyone is just so excited about this film. It wasn't just like one person or this or that. It was all of us. Like, yes, we all had worked before, we all did stuff before, but this was different. And we took this amazing group of people and how we all just got along and got into the characters. And also to compliment you as a director, you let us be who we wanted and we read to be, and you directed us in the right way that no one was ever nervous about, oh, what about my line here? What about this? Like everyone was so comfortable with the situations that we were put in. And with you also, probably because you were the same age as all of us. So it was like filming with our best friend. So, I mean, and Gina, you were like a young baby too. You were a little rock star. Michael, everyone on this one. But it was just such a special time. Like, I've done many, many movies since, and I've never had such a unique feeling of so much where everyone really loved each other and really cared so much about the project and about each other as a whole. And I think that's why we come back all these years later and we keep, talking about Urban Legend. We love it.
It's true. James, I'd like to hear from you about what it was like to work with Jamie, which really this was his first movie. I mean,
thank you for that, Gina. I was a little surprised at how young Jamie was when I saw his trailer. And I said, wow, this is great, but is that it? So I was shocked, but Jamie's is too modest by half because we're just watching the staging of the scene. The stagings of these scenes, the organization of it, we did a lot of preparation. And I realized in the prep that Jamie had tremendous knowledge of film. He may not have had a lot of experience, but he really knew how to put sequences together. And he was a terrific collaborator. I'd never done a horror film. I'd done a ghost story, but never a straight horror film. But also I wanted to say something about Jamie's attitude toward the material. He really had a great BS detector, and nothing cheesy. So if you look at the visual style of the film, we shot it as a serious film. We shot it straight. It had to be believable. It wasn't a silly thing. We were not winking at the audience. And a lot of that's the problem of a lot of typical horror films they're just at a very low level and they're not trying to be anything better. But these are believable characters in believable situations. He gave me the confidence to really, paint with a big brush, with a big palette. And he had a great sense always of the visual. And we had an amazing collaboration on this. But Jamie's too modest. The staging of these scenes in Urban Legend, most of it comes from Jamie. And he was inspiring.
Scenes.
Thank you, Jim. Oh, that's so sweet of you to say that, Jim.
And Jim,
Well,
you
you're
know,
always complimenting me,
I
but I learned a lot from you, Jamie. So,
James,
Jamie,
had you worked with a first-time director as first time as Jamie though before Urban Legend, or was that
no,
like
just on music videos and smaller stuff. Not one time, I won't mention the name, but on a feature film, and it was not as happy an experience, because of that. I mean, I'm just say it, but I wasn't that experienced either. So, I felt that shooting a widescreen, movie I love shooting widescreen, and this is the way to do it, And so we went for an epic feel, a grandeur, a lushness, a sensuality, and maybe too much lightning, but that was maybe our concession to the horror
there's a lot
genre.
of lightning. There's a lot of lightning.
You remember our Cockney Gaffner, Richard Allen? He was a Cockney. He was lightning, too much lightning. He's up, boys.
Oh, Jim, that's also lovely of you to say that, but I wouldn't have been able to get through this movie without your experience and without your skill.
Thank
I've
you,
watched a lot of
Jamie.
movies, but I deferred to you so much for.
I think the audience wouldn't know that there were some things in the script that Jamie decided not to shoot that were too gruesome. If you look at the film carefully, the axe never touches a human being.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
there is not
it's
actual
funny.
bloodshed.
No,
I remember, remember Siskel and Ebert, the great film critics who have left us. They had an argument. Roger Ebert started to praise the film, and Gene Siskel got mad and started bullying Roger. He said, "Oh, you can't! It's a horror film. How can you say that? They're stabbing people. It's gory." And he thought he saw that.
Yeah, that's right.
He thought, but he gave us a backhanded compliment. He says the problem with Urban Legends is it looks too good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's supposed to be horror films are supposed to be cheesy and low budget.
I think one of the moments that I realized, where I don't mean to interrupt you guys, it's all kind of crazy.
No, it's okay.
But one of the moments that I realized, we do these Comic-Cons that go around, and when you do these things, you realize how big the horror community really is. I mean, it's the most passionate fans in the world. We all know that, right? And I've never gotten so many compliments saying that it was the best, when it was dive with the axe in the wall and the whole thing. So many people say that was the most scary, so well shot, so well directed. So that scene was crazy. They think it's one of the best scenes in a horror film. That whole, Sasha Taste at the end, the whole death scene. And I remember doing that, and I was terrified, Jamie. I remember that I thought the axe was really going to hit me in the head. We were so close on one, and then I had to jump off the thing with the wire. I remember with all the glass. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die for sure.
Darling, I remember watching. We were doing the documentary, and I was going back through all the video footage, and just as soon as I saw that shot of you with the scaffolding getting taken away, and you were hanging from that stairwell, it just took me straight back to how I felt, and it's like I stopped breathing, like I was on the set again. It was just like, oh my god, you were just hanging from a couple of wires, but if you put your life on the line for that sequence. And there weren't many sequences in the movie where I asked the actors to do something that dangerous. There weren't even that many. There was a few falls and things, but that was the scariest thing any actor had to do.
Right.
And not just that movie, but probably any of my movies. And you never once let on that you were so nervous about it, although I can't imagine how you couldn't have been. But you just
I think because it was you. That's because it was you. I always felt you weren't just my director, but you were my friend, and I always felt safe with you. So I knew it.
I remember saying to the stunt guy, nothing can possibly go wrong, right?
I remember.
I was so terrible. And I literally didn't breathe. And as soon as
I remember you go, she's locked in, right? You sure she's locked in?
She can't move. Oh no, it's like there was no green screens. Everyone who's seen the movie should know that Tara did that for real. And even the angle of the camera doesn't quite reveal how high that was. You see
it was so high.
It was several stories high. So anyway, Tara, for that and for so many other reasons, you have my immense respect, admiration, and my absolute love, because that was an act of not just being a total trooper, but that was someone's dedicated to the movie. It's like if I had any doubt, which I never did, that Tara was not 100% into this movie, she's hanging off a stairwell, wires to make this movie great. And yeah, every time I watch the film, Tara, I just think of that, and I just think, man, you know, I was so lucky to have such a great team around me, and you guys were like, I loved all the films, all the cast I worked with, but there's nothing like the first one. This will always be super special to me. There'll never be another movie that, wherever I do in the future, will never replace that experience. And I just think the world of you guys. I really do. And
I love you, Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I remember the feeling when we finally got you off the scaffolding and everything, and we checked the gate, and we knew we had it. Just this palpable sense of relief that I didn't have to put you into that position ever again.
No, it wasn't that was scary. I was pretty terrified of that one. But it was actually the one where we got so close. It's when he put the axe right next to my head. Remember, we went too low, and it was a real axe that time, and we missed it by like this much. It was cut my head off.
It was more like that much, Tara. As you
That's what I mean. It was like this, and that's the scene people always talk about, was that axe scene. They're like, they see it's real. Like, we really did it. That was crazy.
Way closer than it should have. It should have been a composite shot, but I don't know why we didn't do it that way.
It worked out perfect though, because it's known as like one of the most scary scenes, and truly that day when we shot it all, we all shot it in coordination that day, you know. So it made the adrenaline go up in that whole scene, and by the end, I'm jumping off the getting killed. Like, I was like, okay, I didn't get my head chopped off by the axe, so I definitely can jump off the building now. You know, like,
well, I remember we discovered that location by accident. I remember we were doing a location scout with the crew, and I wandered off because I needed a bathroom break, and I took a left turn and it ended up in that room. And so that wasn't part of the locations. They weren't going to show me any of that stuff. This was a new part of the school.
Oh wow!
And we were seeing all the stairs, and it's like this is
right.
The radio station. And I got in trouble when I came back. I got told off. It's like, you're not supposed to leave the group. I'm like, well, it was I think I found a better location. And then I remember Silvio was there, and he was able to rewrite the script around that location. And I love in the very first shot when you're with the very first reveal of you in the movie, Tara, you're sitting down at the microphone, and the camera kind of follows you and then settles on a shot where we see the stairwell, and we sort of establish right at the beginning, this is where, you know, this character's going to, the penultimate moment's going to happen. So all that stuff just kind of worked out really organically, and it was just because we stumbled on that location, and I
made that scene, that location. You know, nothing would have ever, if you're in a regular, radio DJ, it would never have been like that. The fact that it's all the glass and stairs,
it was perfect. And it's one of my favorite sequences in the movie. It always has been. It was certainly one of my favorite scenes to shoot. That one and the opening sequence have always been my two scenes that I just.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What about my dog dying in the microwave?
Dog in the microwave.
What happened to Hootie? That was not.
I love that. How did we do that, Jim?
Justice for Hootie. Hashtag justice for Hootie. Come on.
Justice for Hootie.
Justice for Hootie. That was nasty. Yeah.
We had
what was the question, Jamie?
A microwave or something. It was amazing.
We opened up the bag. We had that special lens. You know, the not the prism lens. I've forgotten. It's a snorkel lens. And it shot the lens. Oh, that was really gross. I mean, it was really disgusting to shoot that.
That was horrifying.
Oh my God.
I was depressed for a good month.
You know, I think also we shot almost Michael McDonald. Did we shoot any green screens on this? I can't remember. It was all real locations, real stuff.
Not for real, yeah.
And not sets. We're not on sound stages. I think, you know, Tara's sequence today, I could hear a meeting where somebody says, oh, we'll just do a 3D model and hang her and, you know, hang her on a green screen, you know,
like
3 feet off the floor. I mean, so it's like, ugh. Real stuff.
Yeah.
I love all the locations in this movie. That's one thing that I think is really special. The college campus is amazing. It's gothic and brooding and imposing, and just all of the locations are just fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, we really lucked out with the University of Toronto. The only problem with the University of Toronto was it was set right in the middle of the city, So you were limited in terms of what we could shoot in terms of wide shots. But Michael, this is a really cool story too. Is that Michael McDonald and I were so kind of fastidious about the budget and making sure there was no waste on the film. We saved enough money at the end of the film. Michael said to me, "Look, while we're in post-production at that point, he said, look, there's enough money in the budget for 3 extra days of shooting.
Right.
You go back up to Canada and pick up. Give me a wish list of stuff that you wish we'd got in the movie, and I can go and pick it up." So Michael found another campus, which was in a much more rural setting where we did an aerial shot. So really able to create that idea that Pendleton was in some sort of rural location. And then Michael also went back to University of Toronto and got some establishing shots, like right at the beginning of the movie, right after that first opening sequence, as we introduce Sasha's, Tara's character. All that connective kind of tissue, Michael was able to get some stuff that we threaded through the whole movie. And that only happened because we were really careful about the budget.
You know what? I gotta say, it's rare that a producer wants to, hey, we got money to spend.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good producing.
Michael, you're a rock star.
That's a damn good, rare producer, Michael, that would say, hey, let's go. You want to get this stuff? Let's go get this stuff.
Well, and it's rare that Nick and Mike back at Phoenix would actually let us spend that. Usually you say,
there
hey,
you go.
They take it back.
Say, thank you.
I want it.
There you go. It was all Nick. It was all
Hey
Nick.
guys, look at the sequence here for a second. Guys, take a look at this sequence. We did something also that was very brave. We did something called skip bleach. We actually we did a modified processing of the negative. So this is actually in camera. That all that flashes in that dream sequence.
Generation, did we, Jim? We
no, it was, but it's risky because you're basically burning the film.
Yeah.
so if you go too far, there'd be nothing, But we wanted to be really extreme and dramatic, that's a critical story point. But things like that happened all throughout the production. We really pushed the visuals. We used all of these amazing locations. You felt you were in a real place.
Yeah. No, it was
not in a movie.
Favorite things that sequence just looks so beautiful. And I remember the first time we watched it in rushes, because we'd done some tests, and you kind of showed me what the skip bleach would look like. And,
I remember Neil Moritz was a little scared. He happened to see those tests, and he was like, "What's that for? What are you doing to that?"
yeah.
But I was like, when Jamie said, this is a critical point in the film, the nightmare in Alicia's character's life, and it's a reveal of what's her dark secret.
And James, have you done anything like that since? Did you do that again after that movie? Did you?
I have, but you usually get fights from the studio, horrible fights. They won't let you do. Oh, don't do that. No. You're messing around with the photography. Well, that's what we're supposed to do. Messing around with the photography. So I felt I thought we had all of us a lot of creative freedom. I must tell one story for Josh Jackson. I saw him a few years ago on Broadway. He was after a play, wonderful actor, as an adult now. So strange to see him. He took his mother to see Urban Legend, didn't tell her anything about the film, and didn't warn her of how he was going to die. She nearly had a seizure when he got dragged up on the rope. So
I did not know that story.
Yeah.
We shot that scene out in the woods on his 21st birthday, I think.
Right. He was already.
Happy birthday! Here's a noose.
Now, Mr. Neville, you remember his end is coming soon, but
yeah,
that was he didn't like that.
I have a question for Gina and Matthew and Nick. Were there ever times I watched the film now? It's so ambitious and visually, it's so amazing. Were there ever times when you're watching James and Jamie doing these crazy shots, thinking, "What are they doing? Are they, going too far?" Or
honestly, no. I mean, I don't want to speak for Nick, but for me, because we were there watching dailies, we were, there the whole time. There was a sense, when Nick talks about like faith and trust, and you see what's happening, there was this kind of amazing partnership between the two of them that, you know, Michael and I would look, and we just had such confidence in what they were doing that we knew that it was something rare, and they were pushing the envelope and trying to like think outside the box. And you know what? I'm not the director. I'm not the cinematographer. Like, that's not my job. So my job is to trust the people that are building this. And because it all looked amazing and the performances were awesome and the tone was right on, like, we just were all in sync creatively. So I wasn't like, oh my God, what's happening? I just go, awesome. But I will tell one funny story, which is, I hope this is okay that I say this, and it's interesting about Mike, because I was a baby, right? Like, it was my first time, and we had our screening, and it was very interesting because the dailies were so good. And we had the first kind of cut, and it wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be, or scary as I thought it was going to be yet. Like, I was like, oh my God. And it was the very first cut. And he said at the end, Mike, you know, this is a big thing for me that I learned. He said, your end product will never make you feel as excited about your dailies, right? And you'll never have to worry because it's just the first cut. And by the end, you will see it all come together in a way that is it is part and parcel of the process. And do you remember, Jamie, we went and we just picked up like feet, walking up and down those stairs. And all the movie needed was transitions and some suspense, because we were pushing the envelope so much with the story and the visuals and the performances and the humor that you realize sometimes it just needed to breathe. And it was just like a bunch of like his like boots going up the stairs, like shit like this. And I had no idea, right? Because until you sort of see it, do you realize, well, we just need some guy walking around. We just gotta add some more scary shit of him walking around and add the music. That's it. And everything else would be fine. But it was a really interesting thing to see, because it is the evolution of making those pieces come together.
Yeah, and I think the thing which was really ambitious, and I can't even remember quite when we knew, but we clearly went to a meeting at Sony at some point, and you know, you go to the marketing department or the distribution department, and they have these big boards of when they want to place their movies through the next year. And you know, we're a small little $13 million movie, so we have to find, you know, we're not going to get many of the dates. And suddenly someone in that meeting clearly said it's going to come out in September. And I think, Jamie, how many months did you have to edit and score and finish the movie? It was quick.
Like 13 weeks between turning off the cameras and the premiere of the movie happening in Westwood. 13 weeks.
Was it 13 weeks?
There was a full sound mix. That was the color grading. You know, there was the neg matching, color grading, all that stuff. That takes a long time. You know, that had to happen really quickly. So we had to lock picture way before those 13 weeks were over. I waived my Directors Guild, like whatever those rules were. I waived all that to just say, I'll do this to make the release date. And I remember poor Jay Cassidy, I don't think he had a day off, did he, Michael?
No, he was an amazing job. He worked 8 days a week, as the saying goes.
He was incredible.
The professor.
Extraordinary.
And I think we were cutting trailers almost from the day you wrapped. It was that kind of crazy. You know, I think they probably told us we were going in September before you finished shooting. That must have been, it was, like I said, I've never been on a project like this since. I don't know if anyone else has this quick a turnaround, you know?
No, not at all.
It was a whirlwind. The whole thing was a whirlwind. It happened so
But I also think,
so fast,
sorry,
and boom.
I don't mean to interrupt, Tara, but I think sometimes, you know, having done other projects since, it's amazing if you're going that quickly and you have that deadline, it stops people interfering as well in a bizarre way. It stops a lot of second guessing, which you often get when you know, I think Gina probably can talk to that a lot. You get second guessing from the executives, from the studio, from the you know, from 100 different voices. And when you're like rushing towards that deadline, people, you can't stop. You just got to keep going, you know?
You just don't have time. You just can't. There's not, you know, time is a creative killer.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Yeah, I was so impressed that Christopher Young was able to take that tiny window that he had and create this incredible orchestral score with a choir, and not just like perfectly in sync with the movie, that required no music editing afterwards. It was like layered against the picture, that he was able to deliver that in such a short amount of time. I always just thought that that's not just an example of someone who's a musical, like obviously Chris is a musical genius. That's not just genius. That's just pure experience coming through there. You know, it's someone who's actually like worked on so many movies that it can take that tiny window that we give him, a VHS tape of the movie, and he's able to deliver that score. You know, and then I listen to that score quite frequently, and I was always so adamant that Chris had to be the one to score that movie. I was listening to his music every night as I go to bed after shooting. I'd listen to his other scores, and I tried to get Chris to be here today. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that happen. But yeah, he was he did an incredible job, and he gave that film its heart and its soul, and its personality. And I know, Michael, you and Chris had a bit of a connection way before I even suggested him to score the film. You guys had been to the same college, right?
Yeah, he was the original drummer in my college band in 1974, and I fired him because he was too weak. But then for our big kind of commencement production, I hired him back to be the percussionist. So he just came in with this huge array of timbales and cymbals and everything, and just went crazy on stage, and it was wonderful. So that was our original connection. Yeah.
Right.
Jamie, I don't know if you remember this, but so we were scoring the movie, and I arrived, and I'd never seen anything like this. I'd never seen a full orchestra. I'd never seen, and for people who are watching the chat, you have a big giant movie screen of the movie, right? And so you have an entire orchestra. And Jamie, I got there and he says, "Oh, you're gonna freak." And you took my hand and you put a chair down and you sat me in the middle of this incredible, and it was like some chase scene. Alicia was chasing, and it's like this supposed to and all of a sudden the music starts up and Chris does his thing, and I just burst into tears, like from I was like, oh my God. And in that moment, it was the power of music, like you see. And it was also the moment where I realized I know nothing. Like I absolutely know nothing. These amazing musicians and what he was building and creating, the sound, like I'll never forget that moment in my life. And you gave that to me in that moment. I could have just sat in the room and you were like, "No, you have to see it. You have to feel it." I was, oh my God.
I hate to interrupt, but Hootie, poor Hootie.
Hootie.
Hold on.
Wait.
Oh my God!
Tell that story beautifully in the documentary, and I do remember that very, very well. And the only part of that story I disagree with is when you say you know nothing. I completely disagree. That film wouldn't have happened without all of your amazing talents and skills and stuff. Musical context may be a different story, but it was just like I just wanted to give you that moment where it's just like, because I'd experienced it myself, just like the power of the score being performed for the first time. And you've done so many amazing things for me. You've done so many wonderful things for me.
It's a great gift.
You know?
Oh, Michael.
R.I.P. Parker.
Oh man, in the bathroom.
Yeah, you got to kill me on the shitter, Jamie.
A lot of great horror characters have died on the shitter, though. I mean, come on.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Michael, do you remember that night shooting that sequence? I think it was like 3 a.m. when we finally got through with that sequence. Do you remember that?
I remember. That was like an all-nighter, late night.
It was hardcore.
Early morning.
Yeah, the last shot I think we shot was me lying on the floor with, I guess, foam or something on my mouth, or
Yeah,
the big train shot reveal.
well, then whatever.
Oh, dude, that was a rough night, and I remember you were such a trooper, and I felt so bad doing that to you. Like, I hated making any of my friends suffer for the movie, and I felt like I'd done that to Tara already.
It's a horror movie. We knew what we were getting into.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta get tortured in these things, man. If they're gonna be any good.
I love all you guys so much, and it was just like, I could tell it was uncomfortable. You were stuck there on the. It was anyway. I was glad when it was over.
Oh, thanks, James.
Oh my God, he's going crazy. This killer's going crazy tonight. Crazy.
And it's on the radio.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah, on the radio.
Okay, Tara, the axe is gonna swing at your face.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here it is. We should watch this. We should watch this.
Here we go. Whoa! Oh, that was scary, Tara.
Oh, shit.
Oh, and here's a great shot that you did, Michael. There, where you see Tara's face reflected in the glass, right where the kid's face would be. Yeah. I remember you guys, you'd be so excited when you see the rushes, Jamie. We got a really great shot, and I was like, oh man. By that point, we were so in sync. You kind of knew exactly when I'd be excited about something, and I was stoked when I saw that shot, Michael.
Tara has a great day.
Great second unit. I mean, this was one of the only times in my career where we had a second unit system like that, where we'd go with a video camera and we would shoot all the available possible angles, and they would choose the ones. Oh, here we go.
Oh no! Yeah. Oh, honey.
Hey, Tara, look at that. Oh,
I know.
That's really Tara hanging from there.
I was really hanging, man. I think, at this point.
Yikes! Oh.
We did it, Dave.
Got to suffer for your art, you know.
I love this location too. It's so cool.
Yeah, the location is really cool. You know, it's funny. Having seen the film now, sort of 20 something years now. There's a whole generation of kids who grew up with that era of movies, and it's just been really nice to see that there's a whole fan base of there's a whole generation of people who love those movies. You know, for me it was Halloween and Friday the 13th, and now for a lot of these kids screaming, it's Urban Legend and I Know What You Did Last Summer and stuff, and that makes me really happy that we're part of horror history in a little way. You know, we've got our own little cult following.
Let me jump in here. Michael is going to have to run, but I want to thank Michael so much for joining us tonight. Thank you,
Michael.
Yeah, it's been a blast, guys. I love you all. I love seeing you.
Bye, Michael.
You guys are the best. Oh, everybody smile. I'm going to take a screenshot.
Yeah.
Ready? Everybody smile. Got it. I'll send it to you guys.
I love you, mate. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, guys.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
I remember going in we went in a stretch limo, remember, on the night the movie came out?
Yeah.
And we went to like 5 theaters or 4 theaters on the night, and the audience was loving it, and we're like, holy shit, it's gonna work, it's gonna work.
Because I remember, I don't know if you guys did you feel it as a fan? Scream 2 came out, I know, last summer. Like, there was a lot of buildup. Like, Urban Legend was the next big film. Did you guys feel that pressure at all making it? That you were making a big movie?
I don't know. I didn't feel pressure in terms of context of the other movies. I just felt pressure in terms of making sure the movie that I was charged with making was going to be good for Phoenix. I didn't think about it in context of Wes Craven's movie or anything else. I just wanted Neil, Mike, Gina, and Brad and Michael McDonald to be proud of the film that I had directed for them. You know, I was that was my only kind of sphere of concern. I wanted those guys to be happy. And when Mike Medavoy called me into his office after the first couple of weeks of the box office, and he was so thrilled. That was possibly the proudest moment of my life. that he said to me that he was so happy with the result, and yeah, I just didn't want to let the guy down. I didn't want to, not just for my sake. I thought for all the other filmmakers that are going to come after me who are like trying to come out of obscurity to try and do something. I don't want to be the one to, like, you know, stop that train, derail that train. You know, I just I just wanted to do a good job and deliver a film that he made some money on, and yeah, it was.
It's funny because you know, when you guys talk about being, you know, left alone. I mean, as the executive on the movie, you know, the one who was championing it, I think everyone at the company left me alone to a certain extent at times, because they were doing all these highfalutin projects and all these really important things, and then they were like, "Oh, Nick's got his little horror movie, good for him," kind of thing. And then the movie comes out and makes all this money, and suddenly it's the most profitable movie Phoenix has made in its history up until that point. And then suddenly, like, everyone's like, "Holy shit, where did that one come from?" You know?
I was going to say, isn't it the most profitable? Because the same year that this came out, Phoenix produced The Thin Red Line, which was like Terrence Malick's first film in 20 years, star-studded cast, World War II epic, and Urban Legend was the biggest, you know, Phoenix movie of that year.
Was Thin Red Line the same year as this, or was it the year after?
98.
It might have been the year after.
Because I worked on Thin Red Line. I was the junior executive on that movie, and yeah, they couldn't have been more different in terms of priorities.
It came out December 23rd, 98.
Yeah, you would come into Phoenix and you would hear about the latest casting on the Thin Red Line. They'd be like, "We got George Clooney," and you'd be like, "Oh, that's good, and then it'd be like, "We've got John Travolta," and then we've got. But that, I mean, I think, you know, interestingly enough, kind of on a tangent, that movie, like Urban Legend, I think has only grown in people's affections over the years.
Yeah.
You know, I think at the time Thin Red Line was kind of seen as not as a flop, but as a kind of underwhelming. How about that? And I think over the years, people have come to really appreciate that movie more and more.
Yeah.
And,
it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite movies. Thin Red Line.
Yeah, but it wasn't at the time. It wasn't like it was. It was, you know, critics' favorite. It really wasn't. And the other crazy story about that movie, and we'll get back to this one, is that Adrian Brody was meant to be the lead of that film.
Really?
Yes, and then Terry Malick decided when he saw all the footage that he was going to orientate it away from Adrian Brody, and no one told Adrian Brody until he saw the first cut, or the cut. How about that? It was. Anyway,
wow,
that's a crazy story.
Todd Farmer is in the chat watching along tonight.
Ah, Todd. Love Todd.
Hi, Todd.
Jamie, I think the other thing that you should talk about, which you mentioned briefly, but your background as an editor helped you a lot.
Yeah, it really did.
I mean, you were an editor first, and with that knowledge of cinema and horror, the genre, you really, you know, came up with these amazing sequences. And I think that helped a lot. And also your love of music, the rhythm of things too. So.
Thanks for bringing that up. I remember every day Michael and I would make our first business of the day was to look at the sides that we're shooting that day. And, you know, whether we're at the beginning of the shoot or towards the end of the shoot, trying to always make sure we put things in context. So what's going to come before this, what's going to come immediately after it. And I hadn't had a lot of experience directing anything, but I certainly had a lot of experience as an editor putting it together, either my stuff or other people's works. And just keeping everything in context was important. And I, you know, every time I would set up a shot with Jim, the first thing I would think about was like, what comes immediately before this shot in the movie and what comes immediately after that shot. And if I didn't have the answers to those questions, I hadn't done my homework. So I always made sure I had the answers to those questions. I always made sure I knew exactly what that shot was. It wasn't a guesstimate like, oh, maybe it's a close-up of Parker, or maybe it's a shot of Tara, this, or Alicia's going to do. I knew exactly what that shot was. It was going to be a shot of Alicia doing that. She was going to be doing that, and she's going to hand that over to whatever it's going to be. And then that's the shot that I'm shooting. And what's going to come right after that? Well, it's going to be a shot of Rebecca reacting to this. as much as possible, I tried to keep that in my forefront of my mind, because that was one of the ways I knew I could do the right thing by Mike Medavoy, is like use the skills that I had to the best of my abilities. I didn't have a lot of experience as a director, but I certainly had a lot of experience as an editor, and I tried to make that something that and Michael, you'll remember, I'm sure, that we went through that process pretty much every day on the movie.
Yeah.
Where are we? Where does this plug into the movie? So that really helped a lot, and also I didn't necessarily play a lot of music for the actors, but I do remember playing sometimes music for Peter Rosenfeld, our camera operator. It's like, this is going to be the sequence, but like this is kind of going to be the score. So when you're shooting it, just imagine that this is playing, and we do a little bit of stuff like that here and there, just to kind of you just clue people in into how I was thinking stylistically with music and cutting or whatever. So yeah, no, I definitely was thinking that way, and I'm sure you, Edgar, you certainly do it every day, so you know how much how much attention I paid to that stuff. I just wanted it to be when we got to the stage where we were going to cut that film together, I just wanted to know that it was going to cut together as well as I possibly could make it happen, because I don't know how many people have been there for a first-time filmmaker's first assembly, but it is one of the most terrifying things you can imagine sitting through. Like, an edit without sound effects, without music, just assembly. It's just horrific.
Amy, how long was the assembly? How long was it? When you first?
I reckon my first cut was about almost 2 hours, just a little bit shy of 2 hours. And there's an old saying, I think you remember it, Gina and Michael. Your film's never as good as your rushes, but it's never as bad as your first assembly, right?
First assembly, exactly.
And that first assembly is really terrifying.
Mike Medavoy. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm just my 13-year-old son is watching this, and he still doesn't know who the killer is. And I think one of the things, and I credit a lot of this to Gina in the development, was I think it's always great in these movies when you have a good killer, and no one sees it coming.
Yeah. I know, Gina, you and Sylvia did such a great job. It
was a group effort, man.
Sorry, baby. Sorry, I missed that.
I said it was a group effort. I wish I could take credit, but no, it was. I honestly, to this day, what was incredible is there was never a moment where anybody on our team was making a different movie.
No, that's right.
Never, never. From the studio to the producers, to the writer, to the actors, to our director, to your crew, to our DP, like everybody's making the same movie. So then when somebody has an idea, nobody goes, oh, well, what? If it's a good idea, it's in the movie. Like this kind of exciting enthusiasm to just elevate it every time. So, I mean, it really, and that doesn't happen very often.
No, that's right. Yeah, we were really lucky that way, because there was a real synergy. There was never any politics. There was never any kind of this camp and that camp, fighting each other. We really worked all making the same movie. We weren't making a nasty little, vicious horror film. We were making a classy little thriller for younger audiences, and we were doing things with restraint. But we were also doing, we're also really paying respect to the genre and all the cool stuff that had come before it, and everyone kind of got that, And I was always really grateful that there was just a real good consensus on that film, from Jay, from Jim, from Michael, from Gina, from all you guys, that we're making the same movie, and I think that's one of the reasons that it turned out so well in such a short period of time.
I also, I don't mean to interrupt, but I also think I'm on the phone, you guys, so I can't see everyone who's talking to where, so if I interrupt them. But I also think that one of the things that we really did establish in this film, and I've done a bunch of horror films since and everything, and sometimes I look at these movies that I've shot after this, and I'm like, they missed the best shot, like the close up right there, the fear in their eyes and this and that. And one of the things that we definitely did in this movie is we showed like Rebecca's eyes and the close up of my fear. And Michael's like, there was a lot of close ups, and that's when the audience relates. And most movies, they take it, too long, too big here. Well, you can't see what's really going on. But when they would take it like right here, I think that was what made this movie really special as well, is because we had such great shots just on the fear, just in the eyes itself. And that speaks miles and legends. And I think that's one of the great things of Urban Legend is that we shot differently than a lot of people shoot. Now everyone kind of shoots middle, maybe a little bit of a close up, but never tight. And tight is always the best way to shoot.
I hate to cut in, but we have a special guest. I don't know who this is. I'm just going to bring him in. I hope they're not wearing a big parka and holding an axe, but let's see who it is. Oh, wait a minute.
It's Robert England. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Preston. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. That's somebody for the Q&A. I thought maybe that was somebody else.
Oh, look at her.
Oh, just
Look at her eyes.
What is your son think?
What happened?
What
This
is
is the
going
reveal.
on? I'm missing everything.
It's the end of the movie, Nick.
Yeah.
What does your son think?
Yeah.
He's loving it. He's loving it. He's like, he thinks it's really cool.
Yay.
Hey, Jamie, was there any direction you gave to Rebecca for this, or that you playing?
Any direction I gave to her? Oh, I mean, Rebecca had to audition multiple times for this role. By the time we got to this end of the movie, she had it down. I mean, we had so many discussions about the tone, how big was too big, what wasn't enough. I mean, really, it was trying to land in that special kind of spot where she wasn't so over the top campy that it was ridiculous, but she wasn't not over the top enough that it wasn't going to be fun. So it was really hard to kind of land the plane just in that zone that she got to. But she was so brilliant.
Perfect.
The other actress that was close on this thing was an Australian actress, and she's brilliant. But it was a choice between two different types of tone. There was this other take which was really serious and scary and real, or there was Rebecca's take which had all those elements, but there's a lot more fun involved in it, and it's hard to kind of lock down what those specific kind of things were, but it might just be the way that she moved her eyes, an eye roll, a hit on a certain word within the line. Just Rebecca managed to nail it, and we all agreed after several auditions that she was the right choice. But it wasn't an easy choice. There was some competition for that role, but Rebecca came in and just cleaned up, and she really did. And man, I loved working with her. One of my
Remember, we had to really fight for her. I mean, we had to really fight for her, and we just kept saying, please, don't and she was like, I don't care if I have to come in 10 times. I don't care. I want this. I want it.
We wanted it for her. Remember, you and I, Gina, she'd leave the room and go, oh my God, her heart's breaking. Can't we just give her the role right now?
Nick, how did it finally happen? Do you remember do you remember what was
I remember you and I were very much on team Rebecca, as much as it pained, because I've run into the other actress in social things in Australia quite frequently. It gets a little bit awkward, but we were definitely very much on Rebecca's team. And I think it came down to, it wasn't Mike we had to convince so much as I think it might have been Neil. Neil was the one who...
Right, you're right. You were absolutely right. It was Neil you had to convince. I think Mike was quite happy to cast her.
Mike was very happy with her. And it really came down to a difference in tone. I said, look, with actress A, you've got, it's a really serious psychological thriller. There's not a lot of fun involved in it. It's terrifying, but it's not kind of the fun side of things. With Rebecca, it's all that stuff, but it's really fun. We're just going to enjoy it. It's all the best parts of chewing the scenery. Not that she goes that far, but you just enjoy it. You enjoy it for what it is, and it's kind of like cathartic in almost a way to have this actress deliver their whole rationale behind the movie. It's like, okay, we're allowed to keep having fun with Urban Legend. It's not like a dark, serious, miserable, like psychological thriller, which is all about just, you know, pure psychological pain being exercised through murder. It's like
and the hair too, right?
That made it fun, you know?
Yeah.
The big hair, right? That was
Well,
what
that was
sealed
a
it.
big thing. There was
Yeah,
a
the
lot of
hair was-
conversations about the hair. I mean, it was like, really, come on, guys, like for real. But it was like, oh, so we had to really make sure, like we were even gonna, part of our pitch was, I'll have it be straight until she's crazy, like until
right.
the end. We'll have it be straight. And then we spent one test in hair makeup. It took so long to straighten that hair. It was like we were gonna lose hours. James and Jamie are gonna freak, and Michael is gonna be like, what? No. So we'll have it less curly, and then when she's the killer,
Yeah,
it's
just let it go.
big as it can be.
Yeah, I never quite felt as useless as I was in costume meetings. Gina, do you remember with Mary Claire? I'd be in the room and you girls will be talking about clothes, and I'm just thinking like I'm learning stuff just listening to you talking. What do you think, Jamie? I'm like, why would anyone take fashion advice from me? Why do I even have an opinion on fashion? I remember I bought a leather jacket and I went out with you and Tara to buy the jacket.
I remember when you bought the jacket.
Why would anyone ask me for advice on fashion? So yeah.
Yeah, no. That was an error. But again, Jamie, that's a tribute to you, because you're also so collaborative. You trust the people that are on your team. If there's an area that you're like, it's not my thing, like you're not like push, that's and the opposite can happen. So that was really fun too, right? Because you would be like, these are things that I'm passionate about, and this, like, I trust you, like whatever.
Man's got to know his limitations, Gina.
Oh,
Going back to this Rebecca scene that Sylvia
That's
did
amazing.
a great job. A friend of mine pointed this out, that in the James Bond movies, you have the villain tell James Bond how he planned everything, but Silvio goes that extra leg. I'm going to bring a slideshow and just
It's a good learning. It's a perfect learning tool. Today it would be like, here's a PowerPoint presentation.
Here's a QR code. It was great.
Hey, you guys, I'm gonna have to like leave soon, because I'm doing another Zoom right now. It's another thing because it's late in Miami.
Okay.
So is there anything else we need from me right now before I go?
Oh, Tara, we just love you so much. It was so
I
great.
love you, Dean. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Yeah, thank you so
I
much
love
for
you,
joining
Dean.
us
I love
tonight.
all you guys. I love everyone.
That's gracious, Tara.
It was great,
You're
Tara.
the
Thank you so
best.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you guys, and I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you
Take
for coming.
care.
All right. Ciao, guys.
Bye-bye.
Unless if you guys need
Bye.
something real quick. You need any questions or anything? Yeah? We're good?
Sorry?
Does anyone need anything, or we're good?
No, I think we're all good. We're all good.
We're
We're
all
going to do Q&A afterwards. So if you...
No,
if you
that's
get-
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
All right, we're cool?
yeah. If you,
Q&A? Okay, perfect.
When you come back.
All right, I love you guys so much. I'm so thankful that I know you all, and I thank you for everything that you've gifted in my life. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Take
I
care.
love you guys. Okay, good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And just before everything wraps up here, I just wanted to mention, after Edgar fired me, I was lucky enough to get Simone, who was unbelievably invaluable to this entire production. She's the Toronto native. She knew her way around. She steered us all in the right direction.
yes.
Just want to acknowledge you, Simone. Thank you so much for everything that you brought to this picture.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so
Favorite
much.
boss?
I remember getting picked up from the airport by you, Simone.
Oh, don't tell the story, please.
You got her now.
That's the best Simone story ever.
No, I won't
No.
tell us. You were
There you
so
go.
happy to see me.
I was so excited for Jamie, and it bordered on, well, it didn't border to Okay, I was so envious and so jealous of this opportunity, and I think I expressed that to you in some way. I don't quite remember what I said, but
And I
no doubt you
immediately
do.
loved you. I just like, no, I totally get where you're coming from. I totally understand like why you feel that way. And we became the best of friends, you know, and immediately in that moment. I think by the time we got to the production office, you and I were already we were dear friends. So it was a good. I always tell that story, and I always tell it in that context. Mwah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just watching the ending.
I forgot that she lived.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forgot that she doesn't die right there. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Oh,
When are they going to start checking the back seat?
I don't know. There's a lot going on. It's raining. It's lightning, lightning.
You're right. You're right.
They're like bonded. They're bonding. They survived it. They don't, you know.
There she goes.
Oh no.
And there's the shot, Michael. There's the shot from the opening of the movie. I remember I watched your second unit stuff when you did all this stunt action. I'm like, that's the first shot of the film. The rain, the water, and that's what you use the first shot.
Ah, okay. I forgot.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was just the camera running before the stunt, right?
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. I remember you and I, Jim, we'd be setting up shots sometimes, and there would just be a little bit of a pause before the shot started or something. Like, wow, look at the way the rain's falling on the glass or whatever, and we would use those moments. So I just make a note to Jay. It's just like, that's a really good shot to use. And yeah, sometimes all the magic happens just before and after a cut in action, you know?
Yeah, this is gloriously analog. Now I'm looking at it. It's really gloriously analog. It's so lush.
I love the story. So fun.
Yeah, a lot of fans were wondering if it's real. Is she really alive? Is this like a dream?
Well, I remember sitting in a car one day with Christy Prunier from Phoenix and Silvio, and we were driving somewhere and we were trying to figure out the ending. And I can't remember what the original ending was, but I remember it sort of dawned on me one night. What about if Brenda was actually the one there? And she says, this is how the story really goes. And like, she's still alive. And I sort of pitched that to Silvio and Christy. And they're like, that works really well. That's actually a cool way to end the movie. So that was the one contribution, the one major contribution I had to the story, because everything else had pretty much been worked out before I got there. But the ending was something that I kind of threw in there. And my idea for a sequel was to always bring back the original cast and say, okay, what if we're telling the same kind of story with different urban legends, but the same people are playing different roles, and there was a different version of that first movie, and they went in a totally different direction with the sequel with the film score. But I always thought it would be a fun and kind of novel way to approach a sequel to the movie by using the original cast in a completely different context. But hey, maybe one of these days, you know, who knows? They're all still gorgeous enough; they could still be in the movie.
There were a lot of stunt guys in this movie.
Yes, and unlike on Valentine, none of them got hurt. On Valentine, so many people got injured, and I was horrified. This film, there were no injuries, so yeah.
The making of on the Blu-ray that Peter produced, and I know you were instrumental in too, Jamie. Just sort of, it's a wonderful documentary. It sort of frames the entire urban legend experience for all involved as like this incredibly harmonious and positive thing. Could each of you share just sort of a fond memory of making urban legend?
Oh God, for me, I can't pick a single memory. For me, every single day, if I had to relive a year of my life for any reason, I would pick 1998 because it was the most beautiful people I've ever worked with. I'd never felt more supported and loved and more in love with the people that I was working with than that film. And I don't know all the things that had to happen for that year to exist, for that film to exist. You know, I wouldn't want to try my luck at trying to pull it off this year, you know, something similar. It just seemed to be a magical kind of confluence of all these different things. So I love the whole experience. I just remember all my early meetings with Nick at Phoenix and hanging out with Nick at night, talking about the film and how we're going to make it happen. And then finally getting to the point where we hit the runway in Toronto and choosing the most amazing cast and crew. I can't pick a single moment, Justin, but the whole thing was wonderful for me, and I just love the people that I worked with, as is evident, today. What's it, 23 years or something later, we're still deep, close friends, and that will never change. And that's, every film isn't always like that. So yeah, there was something really special about this movie, and I'm just so grateful for the experience, and so grateful for the friends that I've still got.
Michael, any fond memories of Urban Legend?
Well, yeah, lots of fun. I mean, Rosenbaum alluded to the Fleetwood Mac landslide moment, which was, but I got to say, this moment right now, just seeing everybody here, listening, this is kind of proof of what we did back then. For me personally, it was putting my faith in Jamie's vision as a director, as a storyteller, as the guy who understood this genre like none of the rest of us did, and we that faith was enormously rewarded all the way through the making of the movie, the release of the movie, and right up until this moment now. So,
lucky Michael.
Awesome.
I think for me, it was having Silvio on the set, and in the very beginning, on our first shot. We started at night, right, Michael? Didn't we start? We were on a night shoot, and I just remember being in the trailer with Silvio, and working on a scene and rewriting a scene, and we both just looked at each other, and I hear Jamie like yelling about something, right? I don't know what we were doing, but it was like he needed something or whatever, and I turned to Silvio and I said, "Can you believe this is happening right now?" He goes, "I cannot." I was like, "I know, look at us, this is so," and that bright smile, that joy, that coming out, and we opened the gate, we opened the trailer, and we came out, and it was night, and all the lights and everything, and Jamie was down there hollering for us for something, and I turned to Silvio and I said, none of this would be happening if it wasn't for you. None of it. Like, take that moment and know that you wrote something that brought all of these people together in this moment. And for me, that's where it starts, right? It starts with the script. We're also blessed to be able to participate in something, but it starts there. And that was for me the first memorable moment, beginning of a million others,
Pablo, any fond memories?
Well, I'm thankful for Michael for bringing me on this. This has been definitely the best movie I've worked on. Just the experience, with everyone, and seeing Jamie direct his first film. Watching it through his perspective and seeing how excited he was. I mean, he just really shared that joy with all of us. I mean, I was not a horror genre guy. I'm more of a Westerns guy, but I learned so much about the horror genre because of Jamie and that enthusiasm. We all wanted to help him just to get this on film. And it was a joy. And Michael's, his confidence in me at the beginning, I appreciate that so much. We were a great team. And then when we got to Toronto and meeting Gina and Brad, wonderful people, and just the crew, every day was so much fun. And the food, I'm a foodie. So I remember running off to get those hot dogs for Jamie, man. Those were great hot dogs, those street dogs in Toronto. They're great. And we keep quoting movies. Utah, me too. Hot dogs, but the Chinese food too. The Chinese food was incredible in Toronto, but it was a lovely experience. And I do have one Silvio story I want to share that was so funny. During pre-production, I remember getting a call from someone saying, yeah, we have a young kid here, Silvio Orta. He wants to buy a car. And who are his references? What? And I remember it's like, yes, he just wrote a movie. You give him whatever he wants. It's true. Give him his call.
somebody actually asked in the chat, has anybody told the story of Silvio buying the Jeep? So there you go.
There it is. That was it. He was buying a Jeep, and the dealership called me at the production office and wanted to verify if his story was true.
That's great.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Anybody else? James, Nick?
Yeah, I just remember when we got to Toronto, it was the dead of winter. And we scouted the first 2 weeks in snowdrifts and trying to imagine, this thing that we were going to shoot in the summer. And that's one. And we were freezing cold. And I didn't know that Jamie came up there with a lack of clothing. But I want to say also, miss Charles Breen. He was he was brilliant. We had a great collaboration, and he was, Jamie. I want to ask Jamie, did he come up, or do you come up with the logo of Pendleton University? The blonde did it in Latin.
It was my idea. I said to Charles, "What would it look like in Latin if we said the best friend did it?" And
the best
Charles
friend did it, or the blonde did it. I think there was discussion about that.
Yeah.
Oh, he was wonderful. And then Michael, when they hired me, I was very happy. I had done a few movies, but it was a step up for me. And I said, "What's the schedule?" And he said, 54 days. And I said, "Wow, that's great." And he looked at me and said, "You know how short the nights are in Canada in the summer?" Yeah. So that's the other thing. It wasn't just a deadline of delivering the film. We had to sprint. We had 7 hours of daylight. Of nighttime rather, and 7 hours shooting, maybe 6 hours usable. And remember, often we said, okay, we're going to get to 4 a.m. and the sun would start coming up, but even before the light, all the birds would start tweeting and kill the dialogue. So it was like, we worked so quickly. And I think that was the tribute that the whole team, worked together efficiently and smoothly, and everybody pulled the same way. It was a remarkable experience. I've only had this experience about 2 times on feature films, and this was phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's interesting. I was trying to think of a moment which you guys might not really know because I was on the studio side, and now I'm a writer, so it's weird. It's like I'm thinking back to what it used to be like to be an executive and the power politics of studios, and no one wants your project to do well because if your project does well, it means there's one less slot for their project. And I remember this first script came in, Gina, and the script goes away for the weekend read, which is always a deadly thing in itself. And we didn't really even have email then, so no one was like emailing you to tell you what they thought the script was like. And I got in there on Monday, and I had a memo for Mike, and I wrote a memo. I'd written a memo over the weekend why the script was so great and why we should make it. And then we went straight into our weekend read meeting. And finally, and you have all the executives around the conference room table. And I didn't know if Mike had read the memo. And then they get to urban legend. And Mike goes, "What does everyone think of urban legend?" And you start getting killed by faint praise. Well, it's decently written. I don't know. It's not as scary as I thought it could be. But and all this. And I could see my project dying right there at the table. And then I suddenly see Mike is reading my memo as people are bagging on the project. And then suddenly Mike goes, "Enough. It's good. Let's make it." And that was it. And I was like, what just happened there? And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. It's absolutely great. Yes, let's go and make the movie."
Nick, I never knew that, but I do have to say, it was a sad day that you stopped being an executive, because the fact that you actually fight for your projects and you stuck your neck out. Maybe it's because you're a Brit and you don't know better.
I didn't know. I think that was the thing for all of us at the time. It's that we were so young, we didn't know better.
We didn't know better. To have somebody on the inside, normally people are just really afraid of getting fired, right? Or making a mistake. And you always fought for us, but I did not know that story. So I'm so happy you shared it. Thank you.
Mike, I love Mike, and he's been a big influence in my life, and he's done a lot of great things for me and really helped me along the way. And I think it all stemmed from Urban Legend in a bizarre way, because I think that movie really helped Phoenix get out of a hole at some point, and it put them on a footing. And I don't think he ever forgot that. And he was very grateful to this movie for, because it's not the movie he would have ever made. This is not, if he had to choose to make a movie, he's just not a horror guy, you know. He wanted thin red lines, but I think he was always incredibly grateful to this movie and to everyone who worked on it, because it really helped the company at a very important moment. So there you go.
What about you, Simone?
I mean, what's there to say after all of that? I mean, I just wonder about people listening. All of this is just so sincere. I think everybody went to work excited. I was young too, and I don't think I couldn't appreciate how gracious and open Gina was, Jamie was. Everybody was inclusive. Everybody listened, and having fun wasn't wrong. It wasn't encouraged exactly either, but it really was a delightful place to be working every day. And for all the pressure and excitement, as Jamie describes it, that was there was a lot of learning going on that was really organic. And I'm embarking on my first feature soon this year myself, and so many lessons from this time in my assistant life I know I'm taking with me. And I learned from all of these amazing people, some of whom are now some of my closest friends. So it was a really lovely time. And I, like Michael, am very happy to be here and remembering it this way.
Let's see. We've got some questions rolling in from the audience. We've actually got somebody in the green room who wants to jump on and say hello. I prematurely added him a little while ago, but I apologize for that. Let's see. Preston, are you still with us? Hey, Preston, what's up, man? Oh, Preston, can you hear us? We can't hear you, buddy.
We can see him, but we can't hear him.
You're on mute.
You're muted, bud.
It doesn't seem like he's hearing us.
Yeah, I think he can hear us, Preston, but we can't hear him. It's not showing that you have any kind of audio. There we go.
There he is.
There you go. All right, Preston, what's up? What's up, man? Have you got a question for anybody?
You got me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
What a newbie. Yeah, absolutely. So, Piz, first of all, man, I mean, what a night. Like, seriously, this has been such a great time watching the movie with you guys, getting so many insights, obviously. Tara made a comment earlier, and I thought she was so true. Like, there's no other fans like horror fans, following along with the chat tonight. It's just been so much fun, man, to come together and enjoy this. I don't want to take too much time, though. If possible, I got a question for everybody, actually, and it's a really simple one. I just want to know what your favorite horror film is. Not possibly the best, but just your personal favorite. And as a quick follow-up, I do want to ask, let's face it, at some point, this is going to get the remake treatment, right, in some capacity. Would you be down with supporting that? Would you be willing to be a part of it in some way? But thank you guys so much again, Piz. You did a great job. It's great to finally chat with you. And I just want to leave you with this note. The world needs more Jamie Blanks. Much love, gang. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Preston. Appreciate that, man. Listen, if they try to remake Urban Legend, they're going to have problems with me. If Jamie's not involved, I'm boycotting it. Hashtag boycott Urban Legend remake in the chat.
No, Colin Minahan is a really talented writer and director. He's made lots of great independent movies, and he's going to be doing a reimagining of Urban Legend. It's not going to be a remake of Silvio's story. He's writing his own movie, and I fully support him. And most importantly, I fully support Mike Medavoy and Phoenix and all the people behind the movie, because I just want it to be a huge success for them. They gave me my first shot at making a film, and I would always fully 100% support anything that Mike wanted to do with the franchise and and continue it as a theatrical experience for people. So I can't wait to see. I don't know anything about Colin's movie. I know that he's written his own script, and I hope it's a huge success. And I wish Colin massive success with it. and all the cast and crew who are going to be involved in making it. I can't wait to see it, and they have nothing but my complete support, endorsement, and best wishes that it's going to be a huge hit, and nothing would make me happier to see that happen.
Let's see. Preston's other question. Anybody want to share their favorite horror movies or favorite horror movie?
Well, it's hard to pick a favorite. I always think when you choose a favorite, you're excluding so many other great movies. So all I can say, the first one that I ever saw that got me, where the film bug kind of bit really hard, was John Carpenter's Halloween and The Fog. They were the first kind of ones that I ever saw, and I'll always love them just because they're that was my gateway drug into the horror genre. So, you know, I love them for that reason. But
were there any particular horror films that you were thinking about that you sort of drew inspiration from when you were making Urban Legend?
All of them, Justin. I mean, I was like you. I'd seen all of these things. Urban Legend was kind of a synthesis of all these incredible films that I've grown up loving. And there's influences from everything from Phantasm to The Fog to Halloween. It goes on and on and on in Urban Legend. There are so many references to Child's Play and to the the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. All that stuff. They're all there. There's just shot to shot. There's love for the genre all throughout the movie.
I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street like in secret. Bye, James. Are you leaving?
Bye. Yeah, I have to go.
Bye-bye.
Sorry.
Oh,
Anniversary.
It's great to see you.
Oh, bye, James. We love you.
Hey, James.
Take care, everyone. Stay
care,
safe and healthy. We're into a new world this year.
Yeah. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye,
man.
man.
I have two older sisters, and they were supposed to be babies. I was supposed to be in bed, and they were watching Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was hiding behind I was like in my PJs, like fully like not old enough to watch this movie. And I just watched the movie, like had no idea what it was. I just wanted to sneak and be up. And I had nightmares for, a year, like literally, like I could not, it was so that's what I remember the most. But then I love The Orphanage.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What a movie.
Those three knocks. I mean,
yeah.
I loved it.
So good. So good. Yeah, I hear you, Gina. Elm Street had the same effect on me. I'd seen a lot of other horror films by that point, and that one actually took me back to being terrified again. It's like, okay, now I'm actually a film managed to find a way to scare me deeply.
Yeah, it's so true.
It hooks into me, and yeah, what an amazing film.
Now I'm sorry, but I am going to have to jump because I have to go have dinner with my kids because it's Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, Mother's Day. Yeah.
Thank
I
you
love
so
you
much.
guys.
Thank you so much, Gina. It was awesome having you
It's good
on.
to see you again. Yeah.
It was great.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
you'll hear from me. We're going to figure something out. We all have to find something to do together again. My brain's going.
ASAP, baby.
All right, I'll see you later.
Bye, gorgeous
Bye,
one.
Gina.
Bye,
Take care.
bye.
Lovely day.
Well, I have a big brother who was a dick, and I love him. But when I was little, he rented two movies that to this day freak me out when I think about it. One was John Landis's American Werewolf in London. Those werewolf Nazis always get me. And then another Wes Craven classic, The Hills Have Eyes.
Mm.
That one, like deep psychological scars.
Yeah.
That one. So definitely those two. But like as a classic horror movie that I can watch over and over, that's John Carpenter's The Thing. I'll always come back to that one.
Love The Thing.
Anthony Massey's in the chat actually, and he says, "Hey Piz, please tell Jamie that Anthony, Todd, Spencer, and Nate are watching, and we say Jamie blanks forever."
Nice.
I love those guys. Thank you.
Let's see, we've got somebody else in the green room. My buddy Stone. Let's see, Stone, are you with us?
Let's see, Stone, are you with us?
There's Stone. What's up, man?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I just want to thank you, everyone, for showing up and doing this commentary with Piz. Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I just want to thank you, Okay, back to what I was saying. I had to mute the actual.
Yes, I was going to say mute the stream, please.
Yes, sorry about that,
That's all
everyone.
right, man.
Okay,
That's all
well, I
right.
just want to thank everybody for doing this and joining up with Piz for this commentary. First time I've seen the movie in 20 years, and it was quite an enjoyable experience. Now, I hope my question is not too incendiary, but how do you guys feel about the Vicious Brothers rebooting it?
Oh, I mentioned that earlier. I fully support Colin Minahan, and he seems like a lovely guy, and he's a great filmmaker. And I'm so glad that Phoenix have chosen someone so talented to continue on the franchise. I mean, John Opp and Mary Lambert are the other contributors to this franchise. So pretty talented people. I feel pretty privileged to be in the same company as those filmmakers, and I'm rooting for Colin. Anything I can do to help Colin, I will do, and he's got nothing but my 100% support. And I can't wait to see his movie. I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
Thank you for that, Stone. Anything else you want to throw out?
No, that's about it. I mean, that was pretty much my one question, but I just wanted to thank everybody for showing up. This has been really, really fun.
Thank you, Stone.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Let's see. Questions from the chat. My buddy Nico, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, please ask Peter if he's going to examine the entire Urban Legend trilogy in his upcoming book.
It's the first two films, so it's all theatrical movies. So we mentioned the third one, but there's only a deep dive into the first two. So very excited. It's coming together. On track to finish around September, October. So we'll be announcing a release date finally. Tons of great photos, interviews. And actually one thing I wanted to say, what you guys were talking about earlier, writing about movies for so long, it's really like when you're putting together like a Blu-ray or something or a book, it's often so hard to get. You'd be surprised how hard it is to get the people to talk. Sometimes there's strife or people fought. But on this one, the minute Jamie called me and said we're doing a Blu-ray, I think Edgar can remember every single person, all you guys was like, the minute we called, oh, Jamie, yep, of course. Like everyone was in. I mean, it's such a testament to, I have to say this is probably the most excited people I've ever gotten to talk to about a movie. I mean, just the amount of love and respect and excitement for you guys when you guys showed up to do all the interviews and everything for that Blu-ray was amazing, So, and that's a pretty rare feeling. So again, I think it's a testament to Jamie. So I'm just super excited for you guys to read the book.
And,
one of the few people who've read some of that book. I know there's not many people who've seen any of it, Peter.
No.
But I actually have had a chance to read a little bit of it. It's amazing. And all of you guys who are out there, like, can't wait to read the book. Trust me, it's going to be even better than you think. So I'm so excited about it. And I was just so delighted, Peter, that you got to interview the whole cast and crew of Urban Legend, and also a lot of guys from Valentine too. So it was it was awesome. Your timing couldn't have been better when you got in touch with me. To have that interview. I'm just about to speak to the whole cast and crew. So that worked out beautifully.
Well, that was the joke with me and Eddie, who also produced it. Was our joke was everybody loved Jamie because the minute we reached out to everyone. Everyone was in it. It just doesn't happen. I mean, I think we shot all the interviews in 2 weeks, right, Jamie? I think it was like 30 interviews, and everyone, There
seems to be a lot of questions about the look of the killer, and I'm trying to remember how that looked. I think when we made the film, or when we were developing the script, look, we were definitely coming in after Scream, and we were. They had such an iconic look for that killer, and I don't think you could ever beat that look. But you obviously needed to create something where the killer could be in the scene, but they weren't
visible, right? And I don't know. I'm assuming, Jamie, that it was that when you actually got the original script, that was already in the script, that Silvio had written that the person was wearing a furry hoodie. Was that
we talked about it? Yeah, we talked about it quite a bit, and we wanted to find something that could be potentially iconic as a killer, you know, as a serial killer's kind of outfit, but also something that wouldn't be out of place on a New England college campus in the winter. Something that would be generic enough that, you know, more than one character could potentially have it without bending the realities of the script so far, you know, that would break. So we talked about it a lot, and we always just kept coming back to that fur-lined parka. We just thought, well, that would be something that could hide the identity of the killer, but also that you could expect more than one character to have a copy of that thing. So yeah, that's kind of where we talked about all sorts of different alternatives, but we always kept coming back to that same look. And I think it was a wise idea. I think that it delivered all the things it was supposed to do in terms of hiding the killer's identity, but also providing something kind of iconic. That, I mean, you see all the new Blu-ray editions, all the new artwork that's been designed, it's all been around that look. So I think, you know, Silvio.
I think the boots were a clever thing because the boots made you think it was a guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
When the coat's big and, you know, enough that, I mean, you could kind of.
Yeah, that was its primary function, had to hide the fact that it could be a male or a female killer, and yeah, it achieved all those goals. So we're very happy with that.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, whenever I'm doing like a stream like this or talking about Friday the 13th, somebody always asks, when's Peter's new book coming out? So people are excited for the new book. And, you know, this is the third stream that I've done with Jamie. And I think his love and his enthusiasm for the genre really radiates. And that's made him such a huge hit with my audience. They all just, they just love you. So
I think another questions I'm seeing quite a bit about is how we came up with the urban legends. And I think what's interesting about that, and I think it's one of the problems for the sequels, and I know it was a problem for the second sequel, is that I mean, my favorite one is always the opening one. I think it's great. It's, you know, it's you know, you have the unexpected twist and all that kind of thing, and, you know, but as you develop the script, you realize that it's, you know, it's like the half-life of what the urban legends which are left are less and less and less, and, you know, they become less and less well known. And it's funny when you look at the movie and you see that huge encyclopedia and you're like, there weren't that many urban legends. And we were struggling by the end. And I think the second movie, we were really struggling. So when they make a sequel, I'll be really interested to see what they actually use, because, you know,
what's left?
What is left, exactly.
Let's see. Borderline 11, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. He says, I don't have a question, just wanted to thank the entire panel and say that Peter is the man. So there you go. More love for Peter.
Peter is the man.
I don't deserve it. You guys are the stars. I'm just the
Peter, you're way too modest, my friend.
Well, one thing I'll throw out, I haven't mentioned, so I apologize for one of the reasons the book is taking so long. Like, I can officially say it now, is the reaction has been so good. We got so much material, and you guys have all been so great. So it's officially going to be split into 2 books. It'll be 2 volumes. So it went from being a 302-page book to 2 books that's now 524 pages. So you're going to get a lot of material. So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
So
it's gigantic. Yeah.
You had 2 options to go, and you went the best way, man.
It was crazy. Too many movies. I'm like, what was I thinking? So now it's 2 volume set. So I'm
more
really
content.
Very excited.
Just more, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
More content. That's awesome.
Makes me happy.
Congratulations.
Awesome. You guys. Thanks, man. I'm sorry for you guys to get a copy when it's done. So.
Oh, thank you.
No, all you guys, of course. You're all
I gotta run.
Oh, thank you so much for
great to see you,
out with us tonight.
Thank
Michael.
you, Justin, Peter, everybody. It was a pleasure.
It was great, man.
Always
And
good.
I have a Mother's Day dinner as well, so I'm going to be jumping too. But really want to thank you for this. It's been a real trip down memory lane, and
Nick,
I've loved it.
Thanks,
None
Nick.
of this would have happened without you, my brother, and we owe you all of it. And I mean, you brought the project to the studio, and oh man, thank you for the happiest chapter of my entire life.
Thank you, guys. This has been a real thrill. I've really, really enjoyed it, and it's so lovely to see you all again. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
I hope so.
Good luck with
Take care, Nick. Take care, buddy. Take care,
Bye,
Mike.
mate.
Let's see,
lovely.
my buddy Matt Kakulka. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, Jamie, what subgenre of horror would you like to delve into that you haven't before?
Cosmic horror.
Ooh.
H.P. Lovecraft. And I've been working a lot with Mike Thorne at the moment, who's a really great practitioner of this stuff. And he and I have got some plans to adapt some of his fiction and to come up with some original concepts. So, yeah, cosmic horror is where I'm going to go next. I hope I want to do some more stuff in the genres that I'm kind of known for. I'm really excited. There's a project that I'm attached to at the moment, which I'm hoping is going to go forward this year, which will be a chance for me to do some stuff that I'm really good at and I'm known for. But I really want to try and later on move into some more interesting, other areas of the genre that I haven't been so known for. And cosmic horror is kind of where I want to go.
Very cool. Let's see. We've got somebody in the green room. Who have we got in the green room with us?
I could totally see Jamie doing a remake of In the Mouth of Madness or a movie like that. That would be fantastic.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
that's
that would be
kind of
cool.
where I want to head, Peter. Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be very, very cool. Let's see. I think Aiden is connecting.
Hey.
Aiden, what's up, man?
Hey, man.
Hey. Well, I am a big fan of this movie. I just want to first of all say I just love it in general. It's so great. My question is, I like to write a lot of horror movies, and I just would like to know, like, is there any secrets you have when structuring a story to get like a killer at the end? Like, is there any secrets that you have that I could use?
Get a killer at the end?
Yeah. I want to know, like, if there's certain clues that I can drop, because I tried to write mysteries, and I want to know what inspired Brenda to be the killer at the end of this.
So what you really want to know is what you want to focus on is misdirection. Is you want to figure out who the killer is, and you want to have a really clear reason for all the murders. Then you want to do everything you can to obscure the fact that they are that killer. You want to find other suspects to throw in the way. You want to make that final reveal who the killer is completely satisfying and out of left field, but not so out of left field like it's like Mrs. Voorhees kind of sprung on the audience, like who the hell she? Where did she come from? In a perfect world, this character is part of the story, and like we have a couple of lines in Urban Legend where Brenda says, "Like, come on, Natalie, this is half the reason I transferred here." Well, what's the other half the reason? The other half of the reason is because I'm the murderer of the film, but you make it so throwaway that at that point in the story where you hear that information, you're not thinking about it. But later on, the next time you watch the movie, it's like, oh, I totally get it. Yeah. Misdirection is the key. Come up with who your killer is. Come up with a really clear motivation, and then do everything you can to obscure the fact while laying in little bits of clues that's the killer. That's the way the best giallos work. That's the way the best murder mysteries work.
Misdirection.
Misdirection.
There's a great thing. It's a great thing in Urban Legend you did, Jamie and Silvio. I know it's not your favorite scene, I don't think, but when Brenda is swimming and you think the killer is coming, and it turns out to be her friend. But I remember seeing that in the theater and thinking, well, she can't be because she almost just got killed. So it threw your mind off to thinking
that was the point of that scene, was to make it Brenda's the next victim, and we're going to fear for her safety. So when she does go missing at the end of the movie, finally that horrible thing that we feared has now come true. That was the one purpose of that scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it did throw me off. I did not guess the twist. So good job.
It threw me off too for totally different reasons. Like it was the final day of the shoot. Like why am I shooting this?
Well,
it's all about misdirection. So plant the seeds will kind of point to the killer's identity without giving it away too much. I mean, to be fair to the audience, you've got to give them a little chance of working it out, but you want to make it as hard as possible. So yeah, that's
yes. Thank you so much. That's very helpful.
Thank you, Aiden.
Oh yeah, no problem. So yeah, bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, man.
Let's see. My friend Susan Horgau says, just want to say thank you to Piz and Jamie and everyone for such an amazing live commentary celebrating a fantastic movie. This is so much fun. Thank you, Susan. There's the Jeep story. We covered the Jeep story, Mike. I hope you enjoyed the Jeep story. Let's see. Aiden, we also talked about the killer, why the killer wears the coat. Matt Kakulka says, thank you, Pizowell, Jamie, and all. Jamie, who had the more holy crap moment from meeting Robert Englund, you or your son?
Oh, wow. Probably me, because I was completely immersed in the horror genre, and my kid's like, oh, it's cool. My dad makes horror films. He knows Freddy Krueger. He's grown up with an urban legend poster on his on the wall in the kitchen, where it was like, for me, it was a fight and a journey to get to the point where that poster could exist. So definitely me. But my son had the best day meeting Robert when we shot the interview for Urban Legacy, and I think I said on Twitter, it was the first time in my life where he was actually impressed that I made horror films.
That's really cool.
My favorite Robert Englund moment when we were shooting, we were hanging out, and of course I'm geeking out about Freddy, but he's done so many other movies. And the one that I wanted to talk to him about was Big Wednesday that John Milius directed. So we had a great conversation about working with John Milius and on that movie. And the great thing about Robert Englund, he is a film fan, and that he's a cinephile and he loves it and appreciates everything about it. And what a professional guy, seriously, and a gentleman, true gentleman.
I mean, if there is an easier person to talk to about movies, I haven't met them yet. Including you, Edgar, and you are super easy to talk about movies with. Robert's wonderful. He's just a gorgeous man, and I just loved. I mean, he was only on set for maybe 5 days tops.
Oh wow!
5 of the best days of my life. It was just
awesome.
So much fun.
That's so cool. My buddy Dan, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says he wants to know what everybody's upcoming projects are.
He wants to know what? Sorry.
What everybody's upcoming projects are.
No. I'm sure he'd like to know. I wish we were able to tell him all about it.
Well, we know Peter's got his book coming out soon.
Yeah.
Pablo, you're a filmmaker now. What are you working on, man?
I have 3 projects going right now that are looks really good, that I'm excited about. All writing assignments, writing projects that look promising. That I can't really say yet, but they're in the different genres. One's a comedy, one's a Western, and one's a drama that I'm excited about. So
your time is now. Now is the time for Edgar Pablos to start kicking some ass, and I can see it happening. And I can't wait to be there for fucking cheering on from the sidelines, my brother.
Thanks, bud. Thank you so much.
Covering all those genre bases, man. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Simone's project.
Awesome.
Yeah, Simone, what are you working on?
Tell us, Simone, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a screenplay. It's science fiction, so genre as well.
Nice.
And we'll hopefully be making it here in Canada in the fall. We've got our funding together and we're going out to cast, and I'm terrified every day of how it's all going to go,
awesome.
but it looks like it's going. So, yeah,
you know what?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When things get going your way is when you're terrified every day, because that means all of a sudden you're out of your comfort zone and new things are happening. And, it's good to be terrified every day, Simone. So I'm so happy to hear that. My congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So happy.
Fear never felt so good.
You're all, yeah, exactly. It's the best kind of fear.
That's awesome. My buddy Silent Storm, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says this night was fantastic. Thank you, Piz and all. Thank you for tuning in, man. And my buddies over at the S'mores Indoors show, thank you for the $2 super chat. They say thank you all for a fun movie. Yeah. Let's see.
So Piz, we should ask you what do you have coming up on your show? I know you've. I mean, honestly, you've had such amazing guests lately, like Patrick Lussier and
Your
stuff. I
channel
watched that
is
interview.
one of my favorite things
Yeah.
on the entire internet, Justin. So I'm
Oh.
so proud of you, man. I really am. I would only ever do my big film events with you because I just think, you know, you've got a massive audience and you've done it because of lots of hard work.
And we've got that contract, which is ironclad. It's right here. But thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. I'm always you know, looking for awesome guests to have on. I've got some inquiries out there for a few people who I think would be really awesome guests. I love to have people on and just ask them the questions that they've not been asked a million times before in other interviews. And,
well, you had Alan Howarth on. I remember that was the first time I appeared on your channel as like I just popped in on that. He was my lifelong hero. To get the chance to speak to Alan Howarth was like, oh my God, you know. And you would ask him all these great questions, and I was watching the stream just thinking, man, this is like if I was there, you know, this is someone who loves the genre the same way that I do, asking the kind of questions I want to have asked. So, man, when we had that first thing with Don on, and we had Peter, you Peter and Don and I were all just chatting together.
Yeah, it's great.
That just flowed like that, and then we did the Valentine's stream. It was just as much fun. And this has been, I think, probably even you know, most fun we've had so far. And I just look forward to lots and lots of more appearances with you, Justin, on your channel. And I just think your channel is going from strength to strength. And you know, not just because you're a guy I love the genre, because you're a good guy, you know, and you're a beautiful big brother to which I respect a lot. I've got two younger brothers as well, and you know, I've always been the big brother, and I just see the way you treat your gorgeous younger brother, and I just think, man, you know, that's just, you're my kind of people, Justin. You're my kind of people, and you know, cheers to that.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, I've had a great the great fortune of having people like you and Peter and Patrick Lussier and Todd Farmer and Alan Howarth and some really great, really nice people on my channel. So it's great that I can say that I'm fans of these people and that they're actually really, really nice people. Because I've met people that I'm a fan of who aren't that great a person. So I mean, it kind of affects. But you know, it's been so great having not just people that I admire for their work, but people who I admire for being really good people as well.
Well, we're friends now, my brother. So it's like, you know, it's just wonderful. And I just think, you know, we're so lucky in the horror genre. There are so many wonderful people, so many wonderful practitioners, and I've been blessed to meet so many of them over the years. And I can just see that's where your channel's headed. It's just, you know, you're going to have more and more of these kind of people come on, and you know, you're doing great stuff. You're doing great stuff out there. You've built a fantastic number of subscribers, all good people who love the genre. You know, horror fans are the best fans to have. You know, horror and science fiction, like they're loyal. You know, and they're loyal for a reason. And I think, you know, your channel epitomizes all the reasons that that people love the genre. You're look at the room you're in, man. It's just like there's nothing fake about you. You're all horror all the time, and I love that. And you have my greatest respect, Justin. And I really thank you so much for hosting this event for us. You've done a beautiful job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Let's do a couple of more questions, and then we'll call it a night. Let's see here. My friend Jamie, thank you, Jamie, for the $5 super chat. She says, Piz, Jamie, tonight was awesome. Thank you so much for putting this together. Well, thank you for tuning in, Jamie. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
In the credits, there is a for Ben.
Yeah.
Who Jay Van Sit would like to know, who is Ben?
Oh, he was my dearest friend. He and I made lots of films together. His name was Ben Burke, and he died prematurely. He was a pilot. His dream was to become a pilot, and he was in a light aircraft. And an English glider pilot was in the air at the same time as my friend was, and the pilot zigged when he should have zagged. Unfortunately, they hit each other. He took the wing off my friend Ben's plane, and Ben had a horrible 30 seconds before he died. And on my 21st birthday, I was a pallbearer at Ben's funeral. He was my dearest friend, and I think literally not a day goes by where I don't think about him. And I told Michael McDonald that I promised his mother, I said, whenever it is in my life that I get to make a first movie, I'm going to dedicate it to Ben. And Michael told that to the studio, told it to Phoenix, he told it to Columbia TriStar, and they allowed me to have for Ben in the credits, and that's no big deal, because there's a cost associated with just even that much on the credits. That's multiplied by the amount of prints that get produced and everything else. But they let me have that tribute to my friend, and a lot of people think that I was dedicating it to my younger brother Ben. But everyone else knows that it was dedicated to my friend Ben Burke, who's no longer with us, and I love him, and I miss him dearly. And you know, if I had a DeLorean, I'd go back in time and I'd warn him about that day. And you know, you just do everything you can. But yeah. Anyway, that was my promise fulfilled to my friend's family. And yeah, Ben Burke, and I miss him every day. That's why there's for Ben there.
All right, last question. Joe Cool wants to know: are there any props from the set that you kept as a keepsake, or are there any that you wish you had kept?
I have one. For the wrap party, we were at a bowling alley. I don't know if you remember this, Jamie,
I do.
Right? And the first prize for the women's and first prize for the men's, if you won, you get to keep the axe.
All right.
Oh,
so
I've got an axe.
I have one of the acts from the film.
Oh, nice.
And as well as I didn't steal. I asked to keep. Speaking of Loretta Devine's wonderful performance as Reese, the security guard, in her set there was a great poster of the great Pam Grier movie Coffee.
Yes.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Yep. I have that.
Foxy Brown. Wasn't Foxy Brown?
No, I thought it was Coffee, wasn't it?
Just Coffee's the movie she watches, but the poster's actually Foxy Brown.
Right.
Oh, I thought it was Coffee too.
You're right. So I have the Foxy Brown poster.
Nice. What
about you, Simone?
You know what? We needed somebody's face for a repellent of some kind, like a can of mace. And for the longest time, and so mine was the goofy face, and hair and makeup had such a fun time doing it. Michael couldn't stop laughing at how ridiculous I looked with 80 kilos of makeup on and big 80s hair. For some time I had this, but as I've moved so many times since then, I've lost my stupid face on it, Mace. So if I could have one back, that would be.
I would love to have Brenda's slideshow. Oh, sorry, that would be awesome.
Yes.
Does anyone keep Brenda's slideshow?
That would be cool.
Oh, sorry.
It's weirdly, somehow the name David Evans occasionally pops up as a news story. It's like, I guess it's a common enough name that you hear the name here and there. And every time it happens, my wife and I always turn to each other and say, his name was David Evans. It's a running joke in our family.
Do you have any keepsakes from the set, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got the urban legend Parker. I've got the axe. I've got the actual axe from the opening sequence. I've got the slate. I've got all sorts of bits and pieces from the movie that I keep. So it was my first movie. You know, I thought it might be my only movie. So I better
you gotta take what you get, what you can get. It might be
the only movie you
ever make, right?
Exactly.
Oh man, this has been so much fun tonight. I just want to I just want to say thank you all so much, Peter, Edgar, Simone, Jamie, of course.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Thank
you guys are amazing. Thank you for coming on and sharing these awesome stories from the making of Urban Legend. And it's just been an absolute ball. Of course, shout out to Michael Rosenbaum, Tara Reid, James Chrysanthus, Michael McDonnell, for
Gina
for being
Matthews.
yes for being with us also. It's just been so much fun, and thank you all for tuning in. We've had a really, really lively chat. I think everybody watching along has had an absolute blast. So thank you all for tuning in and being a part of this really incredible just experience. So
Thanks for having us, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
it was
You're a
awesome.
wonderful host. A wonderful place
Yeah.
to do this stuff.
Thank
Thanks,
you
man.
all. Thank you so much. All right. So again, thank you all for tuning in. If you came in late, the entire thing will be archived on the channel here very shortly. So if you missed anything, you'll be able to check it out in its entirety very, very soon. So, but again, thanks for tuning in. Take care and stay safe,
everyone.
stay healthy.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Thanks for watching.